game that I don't think they could have ethically tanked because the Suns are that bad. They really are the Western Conference Philadelphia 76ers. Two teams that had so much possibility and potential for this season that just didn't live up to their potential. They're absolutely garbage. And they have like three superstars on both these teams. And Philadelphia and Phoenix are both just, man, the vibes are horrible. And their teams aren't bought in, connected, or listening to their coach. It's the same thing on both sides. It's very, very interesting, the things that are happening to Coach Nurse and Coach Budenholzer's teams right now. Very, very interesting. Well, I've got two options for you guys today. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad. I have two reactions to do today. I have a reaction to the game, which I'm very happy to do. Very much want to enjoy talking about the great victory over the Suns yesterday. And then I have to react to this piece of shit, this third episode of Raptors Delight also. And that is not going to be fun because I hate it. I hate it so much, and I'm going to go off on it. So I don't know which one I should do first. Should I go off on the Raptors Delight, or should I start talking about the Raptors game first? I think we'll talk about what's important, and that's the Raptors game. But at some point, remind me if I forget to do my reaction to part 3 of the Raptors Delight documentary series, which is absolutely one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen produced about the Raptors and the history of the Raptors. And I'm going to go off on it and skewer it up because I really hate Sportsnet right now. I feel like what they're doing to Raptors history with their dumbass series right now is really annoying, and it's damaging. And I'm so mad at Sportsnet right now that they're trying to write this shit the way that they're trying to write it. So we'll go off on that in a sec. But let's go ahead and check in with the chat, and then we'll do the box score and the Instagram stories and all the other stuff. Trevor's here first, Commissioner of Fun, Trevor J. I know I started a little early. I was getting antsy. I was all ready since 9, and I'm like, I don't want to wait until 9:30. I'm gonna go ahead and start at 9:20. Why not? He's saying some people will go to great lengths to provoke you, hoping you act out of character to fit the narrative that they created about you. Stay calm. Don't give them the satisfaction. Yeah, people have been trying me at times lately. Yeah, people have been trying me at times, but this isn't anything new. I've been tried since I was a little kid, and I've learned how to deal with it in certain ways. And you make mistakes in some of the ways you deal with it, and sometimes there's repercussions, but also you've learned better and better over time how to gracefully and smartly deal with whatever it is in whatever specific situation. Because honestly, this is true. People are haters, people that act like they're your friend, but they're not really on the down low. They'll do subversive stuff, and all of a sudden, boom, well, this is some weird ass shit. We've had people that have followed this channel that I thought were very close people, but they honestly weren't good people to be around me. They were toxic. And, they're going to try you. Obviously, they're still trying me to an extent right now. Some bullshit. All right, let's keep going. Thank you, Trevor, for your words of wisdom. Trevor's saying, I'm still smiling after watching BBQ cook real good with Chris. Yeah, this was awesome. As the reporters pointed out to Raptors coach Darko Rajakovic after the game, that this is the first time that the BBQ, Barrett, Barnes, and Quickly have all scored 20 points in a game at the same game. That's fantastic. In fact, we had 4 Raptors score 20 points in the game last night, including Chris Boucher off the bench. And that's awesome. I love that balance. And in some ways, our bench with Chris leading it was a huge factor in why we beat Phoenix, because Phoenix has got Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, and they're going to do what they're going to do, even though Kevin really didn't do what he was supposed to do. And they're going to try and carry, but the rest of the team sucks, and they don't have any firepower, and they're not going to be able to score enough. Charles Barkley used to talk about this all the time in the NBA, on Inside the NBA, that some teams just don't have the firepower to keep up with other teams. They just don't have the math to add up how many guys are going to be there to contribute to the score to make sure it's higher than the other team. And, well, in some ways, this is what's going on with the Suns right now. Is that, they're going to need 20 plus from all 3 of those guys just to have a chance to compete. And then they're hoping and praying that Mason Plumlee could maybe make a couple baskets, or Grayson Allen all of a sudden does something. Yeah, they're a weird team, man. They're so bad. And they may be the worst defensive team in the league right now. They really, really are. I mean, Grady was getting such easy shots that he nobody was guarding him. He's like, holy crap! It's like I took off a straitjacket in this game because Grady could operate and move around, and that's part of the secret of why we shot so well from three is that their defense has no pressure to it. And our guys were able to freely get to spots and get really high percentage easy shot selection because the Phoenix Suns are standing around half the time. I mean, seriously, tank people that wanted to lose yesterday, there was no way we were losing to that team yesterday. That team is so bad. So bad. And it's crazy to say that because they got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. If you told me 5 years ago that a team with those three guys would be this bad and this easy to beat, I would have said, that's crazy. It's Kevin Durant, man. What, Bradley Beal? He's a pretty good player. What? Devin Booker? What? He's still young. What's going on here? Yeah, it's weird, man. At a certain point, Kevin woke up in the game. It was interesting. Kevin was just running cardio and running up and down the court in the first quarter. And at some point, I think Vince or Alvin said, Kevin Durant hasn't even touched the ball yet. He hasn't even taken a shot or touched the ball. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up. That man came to Toronto to go to Hooters and run cardio on our court and not shoot any shots. I have no problem with that. Let that man just do what he's doing. Just let him hang out. He likes just being in Canada. So, just let Kevin chill, bro. People started antagonizing him. Jamal Shed talking off the bench towards him with a big, huge smile, just looking at him. First time he ever got to play against him. In some ways, these are dreams come true for a young player like Jamal Shed as a rookie in the league. I get to play against Kevin Durant from Texas, my home state. And I'm talking to him. I'm interacting with him. He's talking back to me. A little starstruck there is Jamal Shed on the bench, huh? Talking to Kevin Durant while he's standing on the court. Yeah, I saw that. And then Scotty, what are you doing, Scott? Guarding Kevin. I love the Kevin versus Scotty matchup. I knew it'd be a marquee matchup at the game last night, and didn't disappoint. There was a certain point where Scotty started poking Kevin in the chest. He's just taking his finger and go poke, 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 poke. Hello, are you playing? Don't do that, Scott. Don't poke the bear. Don't antagonize cardio Kevin into starting to shoot and playing the game. It's just not good. Let him sleep. Let that man sleep. Let that man Snorlax for the game. We don't need him involved in the game. That's why I was like this. And you poke him, and Kevin slapped his hand away, bro. Don't you poke me, Scotty Barnes. No, don't you poke me. And there was some really fun back and forth between him and Durant, Scotty. Scoring on each other, trying to score on each other, trying to play defense on each other. That's all really good fun. And that's the kind of stuff that Scotty dreamed about, coming to the NBA and playing against big names like Kevin Durant and trying to shut them down and trying to score on them also. And that's fun, man. That is so fun. Yeah, Kevin woke up for a sec. He was awake for a little bit from all the prodding and adoration of Jamal and all that stuff. And the announcer saying, where's Kevin? What's Kevin not doing anything? Well, he woke up for a sec, but he didn't wake up for long. And he ended up with only 15 points. So I'll take that. Half cardio Kevin. Half cardio Kevin. Like I said this in the chat yesterday. The Kevin Durant is such a salty-ass person that he will tank his team by himself if he hates his coach. It's not like it's not the first time he's done it. He's done this in Brooklyn. And, well, it seems like he's doing it in Phoenix right now, too. I don't think that man's trying. And it may very well be because he hates Coach Budenholzer. And he has to make sure he gets fired this year. I don't know. Either way, Kevin's like that. He's salty like that. And in some ways, he's unprofessional like that. That he'll take a petty grudge and he won't try on the court. Because I'm telling you, that man is not trying. He was not trying in the game last night. I've seen Kevin Durant try. I've seen Oklahoma City Kevin Durant come back to Toronto and absolutely destroy us and take a lot of glee in it. I've seen Kevin Durant in the Warriors in the playoffs playing against us and destroying us while he was healthy in that final series, but then getting hurt and not being around. I'm just saying this isn't the same Kevin. He's degraded over the years. And even the Kevin Durant that was in Brooklyn is not the Kevin Durant that is in Phoenix at this point. It's crazy. Man, if you're going to play like this, some people would say go out while people remember you at a certain level because it seemed like you're not even trying. And in some ways, you hurt your legacy by just looking so bad by the end of your career. So maybe you should just retire, Kevin. Seriously, maybe you should just retire. Then you don't even have to deal with the fans and all the bullshit. You could go full time on Twitter and just talk to everybody there and do what you do there. Because honestly, if you're going to half-ass the end of your career, you might as well just retire early. That's what I'll say to him right now. It's too bad because I like Kevin. I think Kevin's a great player in the history of the NBA. But man, he's had a very disappointing career since the Raptors beat them in the championship game in 2019. He's not been the same player, the same kind of effective or anything like that. It's interesting to see Bradley Beal out there working hard, trying to do some things for that team, trying to score and do stuff. But I'm going to say this once again, Bradley Beal's a losing player. He adds to losing, and it was proven again last night. He has to be high efficiency to be effective. And well, his high efficiency isn't winning basketball, or his high volume is not winning basketball. Devin Booker is interesting, though. He's still got a lot of offensive skills. He's a threat. He's annoying. He can go get baskets whenever he wants to. In fact, it was interesting to see him going to the basket more than shooting outside and taking it to us there. The Raptors absolutely outshot the Phoenix Suns at 3 last night. In fact, we saw a glorious fourth quarter where, this is dangerous. And it looked like it could have been an ethical tank where the Durant and them were going to come back in the fourth quarter and overtake us. But no. We had different plans. And it started with Chris and it ended with Chris. And it was RJ and Emmanuel in the middle. And 7 3-pointers were made in a row in the fourth quarter to absolutely separate us from the Phoenix Suns and establish a lead that was going to help us win the game for sure. And that was fantastic. That was crunch time. And it was multiple players. That can connection between RJ Barrett and Chris Boucher was on fire last night. I love that little slip play they kept doing. RJ lobbing the ball to Durant to Boucher as he rolls to the basket. They got some real good goal, especially early in the game, establishing paint presence and getting really easy put in baskets that way. RJ is such a good passer, and the connection between RJ Barrett and Chris Boucher was awesome last night. And then you had the hot shooting of all those guys. Emmanuel's finally getting really into his shot, like more consistently. And man, that was such confidence and such fun to see the 2 former New York Knicks carry in the fourth quarter with a bunch of barrage of threes. And it's crazy. No Bradley Beal or Booker trying to answer them. No answer at all. Let's just take the lead, win the game, and close it out nice. And this is the kind of win that's fantastic for confidence and teaching our young core, well, this is how you do it. And you just did it against some future Hall of Famers. So that's a pretty impressive thing to me. That really, really is. Man, this season is going to be so easy going out. We're not going to help but win, guys. And Tank Nation needs to be ready for that. Some of these games are so pathetically easy for us to win. We cannot slouch and try and lose them. We might actually mess around and make the play-in, seriously, because we could. We seriously could. There's the possibility of this happening. The press may scoff at it. Some of the fan nation may scoff at it because they want ping pong balls. But, man, it's not about y'all. It's about Darko. It's about Scotty. It's about Masai. It's about the team. And if they want to go win because they play basketball and they compete to win, they need to go win because they're in a good place with their health. They got a really good, talented team right now. And if we're going to play shitty opponents, we need to beat them. They deserve it. And in some ways, we can't be standing in the way as the fan nation saying, no, we don't want our team to win because we want ping pong balls. No, we can't do that. We're going to win. We're going to win. Next game is Celtics tomorrow. That may be a game where we lose, and we'll have to see. But if we have a chance to beat the Celtics tomorrow, that would even the season series against the defending champs at 2-2. And that's a nice little medal to have on your record for this year, that you actually went 500 with the champs for the season. So I'd like to see the Raptors try and beat the Celtics tomorrow, unlike maybe some of Tank Nation not wanting to see that. Not wanting to see that. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying that Black History moment on the night of October 31st, Halloween, 1950, Earl Lloyd, a forward with the Washington Capitals, became the first African-American to play an NBA game. I thought we did this fun fact, this Black History Month fact originally already, because I believe you brought up Earl Lloyd before, but if we can do it again, that's fine, Trevor J. This is fantastic that the color barrier was broken in basketball. And, of course, as I said before, Bill Russell followed shortly after that, and he became really the face of the NBA in some ways, even though he was black. So, yeah, quick buckets. James, good to see James. Good win. Boucher is underrated. He should be getting regular minutes. He's like a taller version of Lou Williams. Good morning, Raptor Freak James. I think that Boucher, in some ways, could be described as underrated. I really don't like Eric Kareem. Eric Kareem making a tweet saying, "How come nobody could just give up two second round picks to get Chris Boucher? It's a shame." What do you mean? Maybe that wasn't the goal at all. Maybe Bobby Webster did have a deal, Eric Kareem, you idiot, for two second round draft picks for Chris Boucher, but he said, "No, we want to keep Chris." Partly because I talked to Scott and he likes him and he wants him on the team. Partly because we talked to Chris and he's Canadian and he doesn't want to play in the States. And he's very happy to play on the Canadian team. Why are people like Eric Kareem and the media always trying to ship Chris Boucher out of town? And they're all saying, like, oh, it's so sad and pathetic that we couldn't trade him for 2 second round picks. You know what? Maybe that wasn't the goal, was Eric Kareem. You idiot. In some ways, I hate you for a stupid ass thing like that. Don't you understand there's sentimentality? Don't you understand that the Canadian connection with Chris being on our team is important? And that, he said after the game, he's just happy to still be in Toronto. He said that in his interview after the game last night. I'm happy to be in Toronto. I don't want to go anywhere else. So I don't get this. Eric Kareem, don't make dumbass little tweets in the middle of the game where Chris is getting 20 points off the bench and playing absolutely electric about how come we couldn't trade him for 2 second round picks around the trade deadline. That was not ever in the plan, obviously. They could have done that, Eric Kareem, you dumbass. They could have traded him for 2 second round picks. They chose not to. I don't understand. You're impressed. You're supposed to logically be able to figure this out. You don't think that they couldn't have traded Chris Boucher at the trade deadline, Eric Kareem, you dumbass? They could have. They could have traded him easily. But maybe they didn't like any of the deals. Maybe they established that he's good for a culture. He's the last champion on our roster. And in some ways, it doesn't make sense to trade him for just a couple of draft picks because it's like in some ways he has so much more value just staying here and who he is. So I don't get this. You're supposed to be pressed. You're supposed to be a little bit more intelligent, Eric Kareem. And that kind of tweet is so dumb, and it makes me hate the journalists that act like you, talking about them more in transactional ways than personal ways. This is a human being. This is a man who lived on a bus for a year because he couldn't stay at his house. And you're going to act like, oh, we should have just shipped them out for a couple of second rounders. Fuck you, Eric Kareem. You get my first 2-finger salute of the day. There's many to come. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of 2-finger salutes coming when I get to my next segment after I'm done covering this game. Yeah. Now, talking more about James's comment here. He's like a taller version of Lou Williams. I can't get on that, man. They're totally different kind of players. Lou Williams is a very specialty 6-man scorer type player who's going to shoot a lot of threes, and he's going to try and win the game for you at the end of the game, and they're always going to give him the ball. Just not anything like each other. I know you're only saying this because he's a 6-man and he comes off the bench for us. That may be the only thing that they have in common, honestly. There's nothing really similar about Lou Williams and Chris Boucher. I can't get behind this comparison. He does get regular minutes. He's in the rotation currently, and he is getting minutes. Some games he won't play, and it's really purely because they'd rather play Jamison or Jonathan or Jacoby, and they're focusing on development for that game. Well, last night, we saw the signs that they were taking this game seriously and they wanted to win it when we saw Barbecue Dick and Boucher matchup to close the game. Take Orlando Robinson out and play Chris at the 5 against a smaller Suns team. You can get away with that. And Chris talked about it after game, playing the 5. He said, I'm used to playing the 5. I'm faster than most of the 5s in this league, and I can be very well utilized in this positional battle if I am used at 5. Now, in some ways, I would argue you're not totally the 5. Scotty's playing the 5 when he's out there with you, but you're somewhere around in there, 4 or 5. But yeah, I think that Chris is fantastic, and he'll play in games that are against a veteran team like the Suns, one of the oldest teams in the league. But in some games, Darko's going to prioritize development of the young guys, and Chris may get a DMP. And there's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, Chris is not a starter caliber player. He is not starting like these other guys, like the Barbecue, and they need to play every game. But Chris is optional for whether the game is against the older teams. Sometimes him being a vet and being out there as savvy is a good idea, especially in the matchup against the Suns last night. He's a very good matchup for Durant and Bobo, who's out there. He's a good defender to play those guys because he's mirroring their body type and their reach and being able to kind of like shadow them, but he's not going to be an every night guy because there's going to be a game against Charlotte and they're going to want to overplay Mobo instead of Chris. I want Boucher fans to understand this. And in some ways, this is part of what happened last year too, with all the mystery about why is Chris not playing and their free Chris movement that was going on last year. Free Chris Boucher, free Chris Boucher. Just understand the priorities and the goals of each game, each night change. And yes, he should get regular minutes, but only when Darko decides that, yes, we're playing to win and we want our veteran Chris out there. If we're trying to develop the young guys, he's not going to play sometimes. And we just have to accept that. Yeah. Trevor's saying RJ brought the game home in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he was awesome, man. That's confidence on the shooting was so good with excellent three-point shooting. Yeah, RJ made 2 in a row. And then to boot for the third one, he got fouled on it and made a 4-point play. So awesome. So awesome. All right, let me do the stars of the game real quick. My number one star of the game is Chris. I feel like Chris, he comes off the bench. He's late to the party to get his 20. 4 guys get 20. Chris outscored his minutes. He got 23 points in 20 minutes, shooting 9 of 12 from the field. Fantastic shooting. 4 of 5 from 3. Wow. He was 1 of 3 at the free throw line, which is 10 rebounds. He got a double-double in 20 minutes of play with 3 offensive rebounds, 2 assists, a plus 17. Just fantastic. I mean, I could have picked Emmanuel. I could have picked RJ. I could have picked Scotty to be the star of the game, but I picked Chris. And it's because shorter time, coming off the bench. In some ways, his 20 points came faster than the other guys' 20s. And also, he got the chain after the game. So Chris was the chain winner after the game in the locker room, and rightfully so. I think this is the second time Chris has gotten the chain this year. And, just fantastic effort. He's doing it in a couple different areas. It kind of highlighted on the broadcast. And I was really happy to see Vince stuck around, and he did the game yesterday too. Who knows? Maybe he's calling the game against Boston on Tuesday also. But having Vince in the broadcast has been fantastic and a delight. And it's fun to see him and Alvin were shooting threes before the game. And Vince still has it with his 3-point shot. I want to know where the Alvin highlight reel is on that, though. Seriously. But Chris Boucher did 3 things really good. He crashed the boards offensively really good. He made threes really good. And then he also finished around the basket and made some big shots close to the basket, putbacks and stuff too. And that's just the stuff we need him to do. He was top notch. So number one star of the game, Chris Boucher, who wants to be a Canadian Toronto Raptor on this team for a long, long time. My second star of the game is Quickly. And I'm going with Quickly because he was a spark plug for keying us to win at the end. In some ways, Chris made the first 3, but then Emmanuel backed them up with 2 straight threes right after that to set up RJ's 3 straight threes. And Emmanuel's quick release and quick shots, in some ways he had kind of already previewed that he was going to do what he did last night in the interview before the game, that he said, he said this after the game on Friday. He said, I actually should have shot more threes in this game. I passed up like 3 or 4 shots, and I'm going to try and shoot more. And well, he did. He did 7 of 15 for Emmanuel, 5 of 7 from 3. I love the 3-pointer. 5 3-pointers by Emmanuel, man. 4 of 5 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover. 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is really, really good. Plus 29 on the plus minus, 23 points in 30 minutes. Yeah, Emmanuel was a spark plug. Emmanuel is like dynamite. He could go off at any moment and just cause some scoring for the Raptors. And I love the way he takes shots. Once again, his green light is always on for shooting. From me, I don't care what he takes a shot. It's not a bad shot selection with Emmanuel Quickly. It's a good shot. And he really has a measured, nice shot. And they give him a little bit of room. He's hitting it. And the other thing is he's got range almost out to half court. Like he's shooting really deep threes also. But yeah, Emmanuel did a good job of mixing it up, finding his teammates with 8 assists, making some very key important threes, especially in the fourth quarter, keying that run, because that's the thing. The Suns were very capable to come back and beat us. In fact, we were kind of having a lull in the second half in the third quarter where we weren't playing as good a defense, and they were starting to get some good momentum because they were getting some baskets and feeling better. They were shooting horrible for most of the game, and it was dangerous because we had a 20-point lead and we were just beating them, and they ate up the lead and came back and got it real close because we let them get back in the game. They started getting some good feelings from making a couple layups. Then all of a sudden, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are hitting threes more too. And that was bad. That was bad. In some ways, we needed to let them just be bad the whole game. And when we gave them some good feelings, they came back in the third quarter and outscored us 30-21. Well, the other three quarters, we beat their ass, including in the fourth quarter, 39-27, outscoring them 12 points in the fourth quarter. A lot of that having to do with that 7 3-pointers made in a row in the last frame. But quickly, fantastic stuff. And we love to see the vibes and the Skipley and the smiling and the fire of getting fired up from making shots in a row and getting the crowd hyped up and stuff like that. The crowd was a little last night, but they did show up at good key times to support them with some defense chants. And, it would look like it was half full. In some ways, a lot of people maybe didn't even show up. And then some people, they left when they saw that the game was already a 20-point lead for the Raptors. In some ways, there's going to be half-ass fans that leave, that don't hang around. But yeah, the arena was weird because it didn't seem as full as it should have been at the end of the game. And it was a fantastic, exciting game. And, shame on people that buy tickets, come down the game and leave early because they don't want to be there. You really miss out on good stuff, like the way that the game went by the end of it. So yeah, it is what it is. Those people want to waste money, spend money on ticket, and then leave. That's their own damn fault. Scotty Barnes is my third star of the game. And the aspect that Scotty that we need to talk about, and this is what they were highlight after the game, and Darko said this, and he said, I don't know why you guys don't cover him for what he's doing on defense. Maybe it's because of our record. You're not looking at him and seeing how versatile a defender he is and all the different things he's doing right now, and he needs more credit. And in some ways, both Chris and Emmanuel were echoing this in their post-game interviews about Scotty, and what he's doing on the defensive end is just special. And it's true. It really is true. In some ways, we can be frustrated with Scott for not taking over the game and doing things like Vince Carter would back in the day. But we have to understand, in some ways, Scotty is taking over the game and doing things in a way that Tim Duncan would have done back in the day, not like how Vince Carter would have done. And this may be the easiest way for Raptors fans to reconcile Scotty Barnes and his proclivity to shy away from being the man and taking over the game. Is that, well, let's say he's like Tim Duncan. And how often was Tim Duncan just the man that they went to over and over again to score to win? No, Tim Duncan was doing the glue work. He was doing the defense. He was doing the rebounding. He was blocking shots and doing that kind of stuff. So in some ways, we got to just come to grips that Scotty Barnes may not be this kind of guy like we saw RJ and Emmanuel doing last night. And that's just how it is. Scotty in 35 minutes had 20 points. He was a plus 31, the highest plus minus on the team. He went from the worst plus minus on Friday night against the Miami Heat to the highest plus minus for the team last night. And that's fantastic. 8 of 14 shooting. Very, very good shot selection and mixing it up. And Vince Carter really is going to mentor Scotty and talk to him. Scotty hopefully will listen to him, because I think the inside to the out philosophy is the right way to do it. And I mean, that's always worked in basketball. Is starting off with a 3-point attempts instead of going inside first. Scott, listen to your elder. Listen to a Roy from the past, Vince Carter. He knows what he's talking about. And honestly, if you're sponging up things that people are saying all over the place, like Matt Bonner, Vince Carter, you are going to get better and better with the advice you're getting, especially if you're not too proud and egotistical that you feel like you can learn things from people. And that'll make you go further in your career. I'm serious. 2 for 3 from three. So Scotty did contribute a couple threes. He was 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Maybe should have had more free throws. 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, 20 points. It's not really one of his better stat lines, but it's all the other stuff that doesn't get picked up on the box score, like Darko said after the game. The things that Scotty is doing for the game and to help us win is not able to be seen on the box score in some ways. So, Scotty, big ups, man. Good job leading the team last night, even if you're not leading it by this being the scorer. The 4th star to me is RJ, but RJ could have easily been the number 1 star for the reason that Trevor just said. The 3 threes that he made in a row, including the 4-point play in, it's just big time stuff. He had not made any threes all game, and he only made those 3 threes. Those were the only ones he made in the game, and they were right in a row. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that, RJ. 6 for 15 from the field in 32 minutes, 8 of 12 at the free throw line. He got up to the line at the beginning of the game. He was not bending his knees, shooting his free throws, and he shot short, and he just barely missed the front of the rim a few times. His first 2 free throws were absolute garbage. And that was because he didn't bend his knees. He didn't use his knees at all. He just shot the whole free throws with his upper body, with his arms. You got to use your knees to get it right. And RJ, man, come on, man. You're a professional. You have so many good things about your game right now. The free throw line is still kind of a problem. We have to say that. 6 rebounds for RJ, 7 assists. He was fantastic with some of the assists. And in particular, the can connection. I'm going to call it that in honor of the can-am connection from wrestling. The can connection, which is Boucher and RJ, was just cool. We saw it a lot in the beginning of the game, and then a little bit at the end where they RJ was looking for Chris and getting him an easy close to the basket score with just a really good entry pass and just really good stuff, man. That connection between Chris and RJ was awesome. I just had to say that on that. But yeah, fantastic job by RJ doing RJ things. He's carrying the team offensively for most of the game, honestly. He's coming and getting baskets for us when we need baskets. And then at the end, boom, 3 big, huge threes in the fourth quarter to take it home, separate us from the Suns, and make sure we have that Bradley Beal and Devin Booker can't eat up. And that's fantastic. My last star of the game is Grady Dick. Grady had a weird game where he got hit by Royce O'Neal on a dirty hit. He really smacked the crap out of him. In fact, he hit him so hard, he missed both his free throws when he got the free throw line after the foul. In some ways, they should have called a flagrant on Royce O'Neal on that one. They really should have. But Tyler Ford and the ref crew were very good overall, if not calling a lot of calls, though. There was a lot of physicality in the game yesterday that didn't get a whistle and might have gotten a whistle with a different ref crew or a little bit more sensitive people, But in some ways, that is what it is. If they're going to make you play School of Hard Knocks with a little bit more a flavor of 90s basketball, well, you just got to do that and not complain. In some ways, I like it when it's like that. But there will be a lot of plays on the court where people actually got fouled and they're not going to get a whistle. And so in these kind of situations, in this kind of basketball world, you have to convert. You have to make sure you make the baskets through all kinds of fouls, through all kinds of stuff. That's all that matters. And you cannot play to get the foul line. That's part of why the NBA's changed things. It used to be that there could be free throw merchants, and there would be little ways you could trick the refs into getting a whistle, and you could go to the free throw line and get some free points. Well, they're not taking the bait on this shit anymore. And you really got to earn the free throw line. And in some ways, it's not guaranteed, even if you do go out and bait to get the free throw fouls, that you'll even get the free throw line because they may not call it. There's a lot of non-calls right now with the referees. And I'm not going to say that I hate it. I think it's actually a good thing, even if at times it seems unfair. Some of our guys are getting hit and they're not getting rewarded with trips to the line. Overall, the way it goes is the way it goes. And as long as there's stuff that I'm seeing where Grady Dick's getting hit and there's nothing called, well, as long as I'm seeing the other end that Devin Booker's getting hit and nothing's getting called too, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I thought the refs were very good last night. Tyler Ford, very explanatory. I thought it was awesome that he gave 3 free throws to Emmanuel Quickly at the end of the first quarter. That was so awesome. I love that play. And I love that call. But Grady got hit by Royce O'Neal, and then he missed the middle of the game. And I was wondering if he was going to come back in because, listen, somebody was going to make some big threes at the end of this game and win against the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns defense is so bad that it was easy for us to get open threes. And, well, we'll shoot better at open threes if we're not having to be guarded so closely. And that's why I was predicting in the first half that Grady Dick was probably going to be a game winner late in the game because it was conducive for him to be a real hero. But Royce O'Neal hit him. And in some ways, Darko was kind of saving him and kind of letting him rest a bit on the bench, partly because of the hard hit. Grady, 3 for 6 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. So he was dialed in. 0 for 2 at the free throw line, as I said, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, a plus 10 with 9 points. Not like a great game, but like I said, the quality minutes when he was in there, and in some ways, I think he was taken out of the game a little bit by a very ugly, flagrant foul by Royce O'Neal that was not called. It was bullshit. Going over the rest of the guys on the team real quick, Orlando Robinson was okay. He didn't play a whole lot in the second half, but he did play early, and he was a force in some ways at keeping the possessions alive with 5 offensive rebounds, 7 rebounds altogether, 10 points for Orlando in 20 minutes, 3 of 6 shooting, 4 of 4 at the free throw line. I'd like to see that. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Him and Scotty were trying to establish paint presence for Raptors right away, and they did it pretty fairly successful. Yeah, they were. They were dominating the boards, and they were getting in there. And Orlando going to the free throw line a couple times early in the game really established that we were going to try and be physical presences around the hoop on our side where we'd like to score. Jonathan Mobo, 20 minutes. He played more of the minutes in the second half. 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, a +7 with just 2 points. Mobo was frustrating me last night. Some ways, last night was the kind of game where I'm like, Mobo needs to be on 905 and maybe not playing so much on the Raptors right now for the rest of the season. Let him get some real time down there because in some ways, he was making rookie mistakes. He was messing up on defensive assignments. There's going to be some of that. And in some ways, he could have been a lot worse this year. He's been very astute and professional and up to most things. But in some ways, his youth and his first year experience showed last night. But on the other hand, I also want to say there are a lot of moments in the game last night where Jonathan helped us with deflections and just being a nuisance on defense. So he has value. So there's kind of two sides of the coin with Jonathan Mobo right now. There's going to be youthful mistakes that rookies would make, along with very surprising, awesome defensive plays where he breaks something up with a deflection or he's in there fighting with energy and helping out. So he's useful, if not for that second part that I just said. But it is going to be frustrating to see him kind of screw things up at times also. And that happens. That happens. Maybe it's a poor foul that he shouldn't have caused at a certain time that was crucial and he shouldn't have done it. Stuff like that. AJ Lawson got in appearance right at the end of the game and got a rebound. And Jared Rhoden also got out there and got one shot off. He making his Raptors debut, Jared Rhoden, in the garbage time late at the end of the game. Ochai Agbaji was fine off the bench. He wasn't his best game, but in some ways he's not starting anymore. We're not going to see the production that Agbaji had earlier this season when he's coming off the bench, unless he's doing really, really good and he's efficient. But yeah, Agbaji, 2 for 5, 1 or 2 at the 3-point line, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 5 points, a -15. Now, Agbaji was getting the assignment on Booker a lot, and that's tough. That's tough defensive assignment. And in some ways, Abaji's box score don't look good, but he was helpful last night. There were certain things that he was doing that really helped the Raptors, and he's an organized team player. So even if he doesn't have a good stat line, once again, just like Scott, he's adding some things at the defensive end that really help the team that is not going to show up in the box score. So he wasn't the best game on here from what I can see, but he actually didn't have a horrible game. Jamal Shed was great. He came in very steady and poised and played way beyond his rookie year. 2 for 3 from the field, but all of them were 3-point shots. So he made 2 out of his 3 threes. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover, a -8 with 6 points. In some ways, he was just a steady, good backup point guard. It's so nice to have a good backup point guard. Where the hell is Malachi Flynn? Thank God. This is Jamal Shed is playing backup point guard, and he can have a stat line like this. And I'm going to say, yeah, this guy did a great job, backup point guard. And, Malachi could have a stat line like this a couple years ago, and I would say he did horrible because in some ways there's intangibles and things that don't come up on the box score. Once again, that Jamal's doing out there that is way better than anything Malachi used to do for us. So, yeah, I just say this may be a very similar stat line to what Malachi would have done 2 years ago, but this is a quality stat line that has a winning behind it and not losing like Malachi. Jacoby came in for 18 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field, missed all 3 of his threes, made both his free throws, though, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 6 points, +9 for the rookie Jacoby Walter. The bench, our bench being able to score with 23 from Chris Boucher plus the other guys was a huge, huge factor in why we won. As I said, they can't outscore us if they only got 3 guys who can score and nobody else is doing jack shit. I mean, that's how it looks over there. I mean, Booker got 31, Beal got 30, and then the next guy to score any points after that was Durant with 15. And you do the math. That's 75 points. This game, we scored 127. So they're going to struggle to get that last 30 points to get to 100. And they don't get it from people. They don't. Kevin Durant getting only 15. Nick Richards gets 10. And then nobody else. Off the bench, they got 18 points off the bench. Chris Boucher outscored their bench by himself last night. That's fantastic stuff. That's fantastic stuff. A great 3-point shooting performance by the Raptors and clutch in the fourth quarter to take it home and beat the Phoenix Suns, a team that, it seemed like they couldn't get their way out of a wet paper bag right now. Seriously, I don't understand how they beat the Bulls the day before. Seriously, how did y'all lose to the Suns, Chicago? What is wrong with y'all? That's what I'm wondering right now. Jeez, man. Yeah, Trevor's saying the Phoenix broadcast team was laughing at how we destroyed them with excellent three-point shooting in the fourth quarter. They say the future is bright for the young Raptors team. I know. Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, we can go over the three different reasons, the huge reasons why. We got Brandon Ingram coming, and we have no idea how much more talent he's going to add to and how he's going to affect our team in the best way as far as clutch and carrying us home and having an even more adept scorer around a guy who's like Kevin Durant more than Kevin Durant is at this point. Seriously, you could say that. That's absolutely true. Kevin Durant is not like Kevin Durant as much as Brandon Ingram is like Kevin Durant right now. Figure out what I'm saying and think about what I'm saying. It's the damn truth because Brandon Ingram's in the prime of his career and he has the gumption and the drive to be more like Kevin Durant than Kevin Durant actually wants to be like himself. That's serious. That's crazy. Then you got the plethora of young players on our team, 5 rookies, and the ability for them to grow into something more in the years to come, including guys like Grady and Oshai, who are Emmanuel and RJ. Like they're saying in the broadcast last night, RJ Barrett is like a 6-year pro. He's only 24. And in some ways, he's got a lot of room to grow still, too, just like Emmanuel and Scotty. So there's so much potential for our team. The Phoenix broadcasters don't need, to be able to see this. They can see it and understand it. And maybe even having a high draft pick once again this year is once again part of it is going to make us so good in the years to come. So, yeah, future is very bright. And the Phoenix Suns broadcast team understands this. And they should. They should. The future is very bright. That's right. Carlos saying barbecue slim duck was cooking. Yeah. Yeah, I like that lineup. I was so happy to see that lineup in the fourth quarter because it symbolized that Darko's trying to win. In some ways, he could have played a lineup without Chris in the fourth quarter. And that's usually meaning, yeah, we're developing instead of we're going for it. Chris is out there. That means we're trying to win. That's for sure. And I was so happy to see Chris in crunch time in the fourth quarter with barbecue. I really, really was. Mike saying Boucher is aiming for the 15th spot next year. What are you talking about? Aiming for the 15th spot? That man is like the 8th spot on our team. That man could even be called our 6th man. Seriously. I don't know if he's aiming for our 15th spot. You're only saying because we're going to get better? Nah, it's not going to happen like that. Next year, Mobo won't be better than Chris yet, still. So I can't see this, Mike. I'm going to say that Chris Boucher is going to be in the 7th or 8th spot at the worst, if not the 6th spot on our team in some ways. We'll have to see. It depends on how Jacoby Walter comes up or Grady. I guess Grady might be so, yeah, maybe it bumps it all down, but he doesn't go all the way to the 15th spot. That's crazy. That's disrespectful in some ways, Mike. He's better than that. Nameless is saying in 2-3 years, we're going to be doing to teams every single night without prejudice. That was just a tiny glimpse of what's to come. Yeah. Yeah, I like the competency of the way RJ and Emmanuel handled this. Now, granted, we have to take into account Phoenix is one of the worst defensive teams, and in some ways we see this, but you got to start somewhere. Do this against a really bad defensive team and hopefully practice more and more, and you'll be able to do it against a really good defensive team like Cleveland and the Thunder down the road. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. And that's the thing. That's the thing. I think that Nameless is right. This is what's to come and more regular basis. It's just that, we've got to increase the defensive intensity of each team that we play. And hopefully we do it against a little bit better defense next time, and then a little bit better, and then a middle defense. And then boom, we're starting doing against premier NBA teams that have top level defenses. Because in some ways, that's part of the difference is the Suns are a horrible defensive team, and it's easier for us to manufacture those points. We got to be able to do it against the top teams with their defense, and that'll come down the road. Stargate saying amazing win, great effort. That is something that's consistent with the Raptors in the 2 years of Darko Rajakovic. The record may look a certain way, but there's not been a single night. I mean, there have been some nights where they've been flat and they haven't played very well with energy. But for the most part, every single time the Raptors take the court, they're all out. And they're playing their asses off. And you can see the stark difference between the Raptors and the Suns for this last night. In fact, that's part of the reason why they were dead in the water, going to lose right away, is because we took the energy to them right away. And in some ways, they were shook by it. And they're like, we don't have anything like this. We don't have any vibes or connection or energy like the Raptors do. We're doomed, and we're going to lose. And at a certain point, they figured this out. That's one thing that Darko haters need to understand is this guy is getting effort from our guys in like really long season with a lot of L's consistently. And that's a really good coach. The fact that he can get a consistent, hardcore level of energy. And this is the thing. He tells these guys, he's like, look, there's only 48 minutes in the game. If I give you minutes in the game, you waste them, I may not play you again. And you need to get out there and give a full effort. And I can tell if you're not. And Scotty can tell too. And he's judging you too. He is. If he sees you're not out there giving that effort, well, in some ways, that's the problem. And, that's the thing. The Raptors have consistently, on the most part, given a very high level of effort as a team, not just certain individuals on the court doing it. Like 2-3 guys are always there doing energy, like Chris and Jacoby and Grady. But no, the whole squad is out there giving a good effort every single night. And you see it with the night and day between us and the Suns in this respect. They really, really do. That's why people need to understand how good Darko is. He really, really is. In some ways, it's not always about wins. It's about how you're getting your team to perform and how much you can actually get out of them. And he's doing a really great job. Really, really great job. Name is saying, moving forward, they're going to find themselves shooting wide open shots more and more often. Yeah, you bring Brandon into the mix, and he's going to be another person that everybody's got to worry about. Well, that's going to help RJ get more open. That's going to help Emmanuel get more open, and Grady also. And that's the stuff we love. More weapons, more harder to defend the Raptors. Manuel gets easier shots. RJ gets easier drives to the basket. Scotty gets more room to operate in the post. All that kind of stuff. It's all exactly right. That's right. Mike's saying he should get it vet minimum if is lower cap hit than cash paid, so he can get a bit and fit still. You're just trying to make him fit into the salary cap because you know about the status of it, and he will be a free agent this summer. So in some ways, we got to figure out how to get him back. I think we will do this. I mean, how much, in some ways, Chris isn't totally doing this for the money at this point, although he is. He has said the money does matter. But in some ways also, he's got such a huge amount of money already in his life. He may be very willing to do a vet minimum to stick around with the Raptors. We'll have to see. This is getting ahead of things. We got so much more to do before then. In fact, it's like we got to do the draft and all kinds of stuff. This is getting a little ahead of things, but we'll see. The intention for him to stay a Raptor is there from both sides. Let's put it that way. It's not like the Raptors don't want to keep him either. They want to keep him, and he wants to stay. So there's nothing wrong with that. Name is saying, until we're blowing out teams every single night, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to predict anything. Every night is different. Every single NBA game is like a snowflake out in the yard. They're all individually different. And we can't say for sure exactly the way that our team is going to continue to get better and better in the standings, whether it's going to go up or down, a little bit of this, because a straight line going straight up is not always the case. There may be a little bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back in certain ways as we continue our rebuild and trying to climb back up the standings in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, we'll see next year. We're going to make a jump. We're going to be up there, and we should be a playoff team next year if we have good health. I totally believe that. Yeah. Let's see. Name is saying too much ball movement, too much synergy for other teams to handle. We're doing basketball the way it's intended to win. We're playing very strong defense and rebounding, and we're playing as a team with a passing scheme. And there was a couple times last night where they passed it around so beautifully and unselfishly and really worked it into such a good, easy shot. Like it seemed like maybe they were overpassing, maybe too unselfish, but Vince and Alvin loved it. They were like, man, that's so good. Look at how many times they just passed it. And boom, look at that amazing, easy open shot at the end of that possession with the ball movement. That kind of stuff's happening in our games. And that's the bellissimo of the game. True, bellissimo. That's right. Bellissimo. Is that the right word, Nameless? Bellissimo. The beautiful game. That's right. You got another killer named BI3. Yeah, he's on that bench. He's watching. He's taking it all in. Maybe he's feeling like, you know what? The Raptors, when they win, it feels good. When we won in New Orleans, it was kind of like, okay. And we're kind of like this. But, I'm liking this winning. The Raptors have been doing in some of these games since I showed up. Like that Clippers game, watching them beat them, and now seeing them beat Kevin Durant and stuff. Yeah. BI has a relationship with Kevin Durant. We saw at the end of the game an embrace by the both of them. And, of course, Chris also has looked up to Kevin Durant for a lot of his life and wanted to emulate him in his game. So it's kind of fun for him to actually outscore Kevin Durant in the game last night. He said he decided he's never going to beat Kevin Durant after the Boxing Day debacle against Cleveland that one year with Delano and Yuta Watanabe. He's decided, being the number one guy is tough. It's not easy to beat RJ or Scotty. And in some ways, I'm happy just being Chris. Well, in some ways, you were like Kevin last night. You beat Kevin at his own game, 23-15. Chris. So you go then. You go, man. Mike saying cardio Kevin, laugh out loud. Yeah, I was like, let cardio Kevin just be cardio Kevin. He let him run up and down the court. If he doesn't want to play because he hates Budenholzer, just let him do that. Y'all don't poke the bear, literally, Scott, poking him. It was easy. I wonder if Scott was saying that. It was like, are you gonna play? Are you gonna play? Kevin, are you even playing? It's like Scott is a competition. He likes the competitiveness of it. He's probably wanting to egg him on because he wanted more of a challenge because Kevin wasn't even trying at the beginning of the game. He really was just running cardio. He didn't even want to touch the ball, it seemed like. Man, the spite he has for Coach Bud is it runs that deep. It runs that deep. It's crazy. It's crazy. Nameless is saying Toronto's building a super team, except it's unorthodox with a template that's never been used before. Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly like that it's never been used before. There's probably some similar build in some sort of way in the history of the NBA. I like the idea of you saying that it's a super team, though. I think that it's really short-sighted of the broadcast. Once again, I love you guys. You guys are fantastic. Vince, you're awesome. Alvin, you are just on top of your game. You're amazing. And Matt Devlin, you're hilarious too. And when you guys giggle like little schoolgirls sometimes during the game, like Matt Devlin gets in his giggle fits, that's a good day. That's a good day when you hear Matt Devlin. He can't make the call because he's giggling and giggling and giggling. That's always fun. What they said in the game last night that annoyed me was the Raptors have the potential to have a big three. Oh, Vince, why would you say that? He's like, yeah, the Suns have a big three with Kevin and Devin and Bradley. Well, the Raptors could have a big three soon with RJ, Brandon, and Scotty. And I'm like, wait a second. Pause here, Vince Carter. It's not a big three. It's a big four, at least. You better put Emmanuel in that group also. You need to include him. Barbecue has a Q in it, and quickly is that Q. And it can be BBQ, like Boucher, Barrett, and Barnes quickly, like last night with all 20-point games. But it could be also Brandon, Barrett, and Barnes and quickly. And I'm saying this right now, forget about big threes, the idea of a big three. The Raptors going to have a big four very, very soon. Yeah. And I mean, if we really want to get into it, Jakob Poeltl in some ways is like not the way that people would say this, but yeah, it's really cool. The announcer, so one of the interviewers, one of the press yesterday, so stupid. They asked Darko, why is Scotty so good on defense? That's what a role player is supposed to do. It just shows how dumb our press corps is. Like, they don't understand the game. Between Eric Kareen's tweet that I've skewered earlier, and that one of the reporters, I think it was Lascaris, asking Darko, is like, Scotty playing defense like this, isn't that normally reserved for a role player? No, you don't fucking watch basketball, man. Do you know who Michael Jordan is? You fucking idiot. Michael Jordan was one of the best defenders in his time as a guard, as well as one of the best offensive players. And you can, in your own closed-minded self, say, oh, this is a role player's role to play defense. See, that's part of the problem. There's a lot of people that are covering the basketball that don't even understand basketball correctly, asking dumbass questions like that to Darko. All right, I'm gonna do this rant soon, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna go crazy in a second, guys, and it's gonna be an epic one. Y'all want to hear a freak out? You're gonna hear a freak out very soon, guys. It's gonna be something crazy. Let's see. Yeah, it's a super team in its infancy. That's what I say. Not a big three. It's a big four, Vince. Get it right and don't slight quickly. Quickly needs to be in that same level of tier with Scotty, RJ, and Brandon, because it's like that. He's like that, seriously. And you saw it last night. He's like that, seriously. Mike's saying the money is too good to retire. Boxers are looking for paychecks after their peak as well. Well, I'm just saying, back in the day, there was honor with athletes, and they'd want to go out at the top of their powers and not be remembered for half-assery for part of their end of their career. In some ways, some guys would leave. Some people didn't agree with Michael coming back and playing for the Wizards because in some ways it tarnished the greatness of his Bulls career. That's what I'm saying. And some of these guys don't care. They just want money grab and stay as long as they want. Like you're saying, that's fine. But they do kind of water down their image and who they are as they go. In wrestling, you could look at Chris Jericho and say, why the hell is this guy out here doing this with this? In some ways, he's ruining his career because he's out here looking like a fat slob at over 50, and he should have retired already. In some ways, he's just selfish being out there. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, if you're not going to come correct and play to a certain quality level of play, why don't you just fucking retire, Kevin, is what I'm saying. Mike's saying the money's too good. He's going to steal it while he can still. Okay. Okay. Invis saying salute freaks. This was a scheduled loss for the Suns. Lost. This was their last leg of a road trip. Plus, they're a bad team. Yeah, I mean the back to back really kind of signifies that. But you know what? That in some ways, I'm gonna say this: it wasn't a schedule loss because the schedule makers thought, because on paper the Suns are a certain way, that they would be a certain caliber of team and higher up in the playoff standings, but they're not. They're a fail and they're a big, huge disappointment. But they could have made this back to back with Chicago and us and thought, well, we'll put Toronto on the second part of the back to back because they'll be easier to beat by that time. They'll probably be crushed by the really hard schedule for them. And then by the time the Suns get to see them, their team will be not organized, disheartened, kind of in a bad place, bad vibes in a bad place. That's what they thought. So I'm going to say, Infamous, I don't think this was a scheduled loss. I think that they thought that the Suns would be powerful enough to be able to go to Chicago and win in Toronto also on a back-to-back like this. Seriously, I don't think they scheduled this for the Phoenix Suns to lose. In fact, they thought that we'd be a pushover at this part of the season and they'd get an easy win in a hard back-to-back that they were going to have to get scheduled on anyway. So I'll take the reverse of what you're saying and say that they actually thought, the audacity, that they're going to bury the Raptors at the beginning of the season with the hard schedule. They'd be so bad and forlorn and unorganized because they just went through so much crap for the season. But no, Darko keeps the ship together, and we're sailing as strong as ever and way better than a dumpster fire like the Phoenix Suns. So I'll play a little devil's advocate on that. Yeah, Kaz is saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to Kaz, Trucker Kaz. Hopefully you're having a good day so far, starting out. Name is saying the Toronto squad, this Toronto squad that we're building can potentially be the best team ever assembled. I'm not capping. In 3 years, I think that they will start to become evident. With the pattern of growth with young players in the Raptors organization, with the bench mob, and how that wave of players with Fred and Pascal added to the veteran guys that we added with Serge and Mark and Kawhi and those guys, we really did have a very potent team. Very, very potent team. And in some ways, it is a very similar kind of like thing we're doing with our young crop of rookies right now, that hopefully there'll be a wave coming up that's going to add a certain level of development and gains as young players on smaller contracts. That's going to be because absolutely badass with guys like RJ, Scotty, and Brandon at the top. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that you're being very bright-sided and optimistic. It may be a little bit not as good as you think, but I think that you're right that it'll be more towards that direction than bad. Oh, yeah. I don't know if it'll be as good as you think, though. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. So many stars of the game. 4 players scoring 20-plus points. Many contributors to the game, and Darko calling timeouts on adequate moments. Yeah, he had to be really careful. You know, Darko had a hand in making the monster that is Devin Booker. Darko, of course, in his coaching career was in Phoenix with Monty Williams, and he was a key contributor to helping Booker become the player he is today. So he very much does respect Devin. And when Devin started showing signs in the third quarter of starting to go off, Darko was quick with those timeouts, and very, very rightfully so, and smart, because he knows Devin Booker inside out, because he worked with him himself. And in some ways, he was part of the person who helped Devin become who he was. So, yeah, Rajakovic is really going to respect Devin Booker when he starts to see him start heating up. Yeah, it's timeout. Let's slow down the game and let's stop this momentum the Suns are starting to build right now. It's very, very smart timeouts. And that's a big improvement over Nick. Nick was horrible with timeouts. Darko's very good with timeouts. Very, very good. Name was saying, if you add another franchise in this upcoming draft, it's over another franchise player. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, what is a franchise player? I don't even know what that is. They're just players. They play for franchises. I don't know. Montreal Barbecue was in the house last night. Montreal Barbecue. You can call it that. Montreal Smoked Meats Barbecue. Montreal Barbecue Dick. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And I love seeing Chris play so effortlessly and efficiently and joyfully. You know, Chris is having fun when you start seeing doing tumbles around the court, when he does his little roll. He's going to the basket, he lays it up, and then he rolls out of bounds. It's so fun. Chris is just a real one. There was that one play where he made the basket and he was laying on the ground. He's flat like this. And Raptors Reddit wants to make this a meme of Chris laying on the ground after that. A little bit like Freddie laying on the ground with the blood coming down the side of his face. A little bit like Chris Boucher collapsing at the end of the bench, kind of picture like that. Chris laying on the floor with his legs out and just like this. Yeah, that was awesome, man. He's so good, man. Infamous saying, nameless, I agree. Ingram is the first piece that will cause a lot of other stars in the league to have Toronto at the top of their list of teams to play for. I hope so. In some ways, I'm not worried about this. I'm so chomping at the bit to start talking about my rant. Maybe I should start it now. All right, it's an hour in. All right, fuck you, Sportsnet. Fuck you, Sportsnet. I'm going to give you all the biggest two-finger salute I've ever given right now. Your Raptors Delight series is the most gaslighting piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy. Y'all get such great interviews. Such amazing people. I love seeing Jonas Valanciunas. I love seeing Serge Ibaka. I love seeing Masai recount things from the Raptors history. But, man, I'm not accepting y'all's account of history. Y'all have written this documentary series from a troll standpoint. Y'all have written this documentary series from white supremacist standpoint. Y'all have written this documentary from I hate the Raptors and the NBA standpoint. A lot of the things that you did with this episode are so disconcerting to me. This is one of the most bountiful periods in the Raptors history, the rebirth, as you put it. It's actually the claiming respect in the league period that DeMar and Kyle did. And you managed to make this absolute trash fucking piece of shit episode. Of course, you're going to add Richard Petty a little bit at the beginning, one of the worst people in the Raptors history. And you're trying to give him a chance to revisionist history about our team in the past. Richard Petty, fuck you. You're one of the worst people in Raptors history. And I blame Vince Carter leaving on you. I blame a lot of things on you. And fuck you for being on our team. And then you saying, I hired Brian Colangelo because he was really good at knowing about basketball. Well, why the fuck didn't you hire some of these other people before and let them just do their job, like Isaiah Thomas, Butch Carter, Lenny Wilkins, and people that actually did know what they're doing? Glenn Grunwald. Yeah, seriously, you never knew basketball, Richard Petty. And you saying, I hired Brian Colangelo because there's somebody who knew what he's doing. Motherfucker, you had people around you that knew what they're doing, but you didn't like them, so you shoved them out and pushed them out and hurt the Raptors organization the whole entire time you were in charge. Fuck you, Richard Petty. You piece of shit. You're one of the biggest villains in our history, and I'll fucking always hate you, you hockey executive masquerading as a fucking person running the Raptors during while you did. And when Tim Lewicki showed up, everything went better after that. Isn't that surprising? That, like, all right, Richard Petty's out of the picture. All the dysfunction and the problems with the Raptors went away when Tim Lewicki came in. What is that about? Maybe because fucking fuckface Richard Petty was holding the Raptors down on purpose from the inside because they were a threat to the Leafs and their popularity. And in some ways, he was always Maple Leafs first. And part of his job was to hurt the Raptors. Well, this fucking Raptors Delight bullshit that's coming out right now is from the same vein of bullshit. People that hate the basketball and Raptors in Canada are making this shit. They're gaslighting us. Because in some ways, y'all could show a lot of good highlights and good things about what happened in the Raptors history, but y'all want to show all the evil, all the villains, highlight all this shit. You want to give extra time to Paul Pierce. You want to buy into the legend of LeBronto and fucking make that more and more part of the history of this bullshit. In fact, if you listen to Norman Powell in the JJ Redick Old Man in the Three podcast, he'll tell you exactly that they fucking helped LeBron beat us in the LeBronto thing. In some ways, they fucking robbed us, the referees. And one of the years in the series, he said straight up, I think that they fucking made them win. Norman Powell said this recently. They manufactured some of this LeBronto shit because they were protecting LeBron and they couldn't have the Raptors beat them. So the referees had a lot to do with some of that LeBronto shit. Y'all can act like he's a terrorist and he was evil towards us. He stole Chris Bosh. You can say all this fucking bullshit on your stupid ass fucking dumbass documentary that's a piece of shit, honestly. I would say to any new Raptors fans, young Raptors fans, do not watch this shit and take it as the history of the Raptors. It's fucking written by trolls. That narrator's a cackling little piece of shit. I hate you. You're a fucking piece of shit. You shouldn't have been doing this. The people that made this documentary obviously don't like the Raptors, obviously want to fucking show all their warts, all their failures, and make them the laughingstock of the league once again. Like a lot of people wanted to have that kind of a view of the Raptors since they started. Purple dinosaurs, Barneys, not to be taken seriously. They're a joke. We don't really like them. They're just our team. I just root for them because I'm from Toronto, but I don't actually care about the team. They're a joke. That's the attitude y'all took with how you produced this bullshit called Raptors Delight. Fuck that shit. I will never, ever watch this show again. In fact, watching it once was hard enough for me to complete it. Michael Grange, fuck you, you piece of shit. I want you to see my two-finger salute this time. Seriously, you took, okay, you're like, hey, listen, guys, I still hate Kyle. Kyle was so mean to me in the press. Can we have a whole part where I talk about Kyle talking mean to me and I'll say he's an asshole for it? Motherfucker. Michael Grange, you ain't changed since then. You ask stupid questions in the press all the time, and these players put you in your place just like Kyle did in that part on that show yesterday. Yeah, you still ask stupid-ass questions where RJ and IQ and Darko got to clap back at you for your dumb-ass questions. Kyle Lowry ain't wrong for saying it's a regular season game. You ain't fucking listening. You ask stupid questions, you get snappy answers. Dumbass bitch, Michael Grange. You had such a personal gripe against Kyle Lowry that you had to go over the part where Kyle was kind of an asshole. He was an asshole to the press. He was very mean to us. That's only your account, motherfucker. I watched those press conferences too, and you were a stupid ass, and you deserved how Kyle Lowry treated you. You deserve that, Michael Grange, because you're a fucking piece of shit gaslighting, Rogers piece of shit, holding the line for white supremacy, hockey bullshit, motherfucker, Michael Grange. You deserve that from Kyle Lowry. And how the fuck is the narrative from Raptors Delight supposed to be coming at me trying to tell me, well, your beloved Grote didn't even want to be a Raptor originally? That may be true, but why the fuck do you highlight shit like that on your fucking dumbass documentary, fucking Rogers piece of shit? Seriously, I denounce Raptors Delight as a piece of crap that should be buried in the yard and never ever remembered again. I will never, ever watch this shit ever again in my life. I've seen enough of it. I've seen it once, and that's enough. I love a lot of people that are on the episodes because they're people from our history that I care a lot about. But there's a lot of jackasses on that fucking show, too, that shouldn't have a voice to fucking say jack shit about the history of the Raptors. And your revisionist history that you're trying to paint, Rogers, with your dumbass Raptors Delight will not take, because the real history of the Raptors is open gym, motherfuckers. And it has no slant, no fucking editors, producers' ideas of how they're going to write the story with your snarky-ass gaslighting bullshit. Open gym is the history of the Raptors, you motherfuckers. And you will never, ever make me think that Raptors Delight is worth a shit to watch again. I know since you dropped the ball on this Kyle and DeMar episode, made one of the most glorious periods of the Raptors history, and it's such a dark, dismal bullshit story, that you're going to fuck up the championship episode too. You're going to fuck up our championship episode, and you're going to fucking buy into the line. I'm already saying it right now. You're going to buy into the line that we didn't deserve to win it because of the injuries of Durant and Klay Thompson. I'm just waiting for you to do this shit. You piece of shit motherfuckers that made Raptors Delight. You fucking assholes. You do not write our history and our culture. You fuck off right now. You do not write our fucking history and our culture. We know the truth about Kyle DeMar. We know the truth about Vince. We know the truth because we were there and we saw it. And how dare y'all try to whitewash our history with your white supremacist hockey baseball bullshit. If you fucking did the same fucking series on the 30 years of the Leafs or the fucking Blue Jays in the last 30 years, you would have fucking painted it like they were heroes. You would have painted all the fucking positive shit that happened to them. Even though they didn't do jack shit to win nothing in 30 fucking years. And you're gonna fucking make a fucking piece of shit fucking show like fucking Raptors Delight with the most successful sports franchise in Toronto? Yeah, you know what that fucking hockey version would be. If Sportsnet made a Leafs version of the last 30 years, it would be all sunshine and positivity and talking about, oh, this and this, even though they didn't do jack shit to win nothing. Same thing with Blue Jays and it's fucking racism. It's racism that hates hockey. Hockey hates basketball, and they hate black people on the down low. And that's why Richard Petty was like, no black man can be the owner of the Raptors. No black man can be the general manager of the Raptors. No black man should be this. Richard Petty, you're a fucking white supremacist hockey bullshit motherfucker. I know. I see right through your piece of shit ass. And Rogers, by extension, fuck you for your piece of shit fucking history retelling. If any young Raptors fans, any new Raptors fans want to know the truth, want to watch what the story of the Raptors franchise over the last 30 years is, go watch Open Gym. Go watch that Cineplex movie that's out now in the theaters. The one with Alex Wong. Read Prehistoric. Go that shit, but do not fucking take any of the bullshit from Rogers called Raptors Delight to heart. Fuck you, you snarky asses piece of shit. You troll ass motherfuckers. And part of you fucking petition our fucking fan nation to be toxic and not respect our own team from within because of your stupid ass way you look at the team and portray it. And you see it all in the way that they fucking did that stupid ass fucking series called Raptors Delight. I shit all over your fucking piece of shit, fucking dumbass fucking documentary series. It's a piece of crap. And Sportsnet, you should not be proud of it. I see right through all this shit. And I tell every good Raptors fan to fucking, you can watch it, take it in, but understand that's some bullshit fucking hockey narrative that they want to fucking put on our history. Nah, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Think about what the version of the Leafs 30-year Leafs Delight would look like. And think about how they made the one for the Raptors. And think about who did what in the playoffs and did things with success. Yeah. Expect in the next episode, they're going to downplay our championship and they're not going to show any of the heroics or any of the positive side of it. They're going to talk about all the negativity and all the bullshit, and they're going to downplay and say that our championship wasn't worth what we got because we had to play against a broken-ass Golden State team. I'm going to say that right now. You know that episode's going to say that. Why the fuck would I want to watch your stupid-ass shit, Rogers? Seriously. I have a positive slant on the Raptors history. I want to build positive culture. I want to make more Raptor fans proud of their team and get behind them and stop being so shaky and trolly and fucking toxic with your bullshit. That's why our fan nation is like this at this point on the internet, because the media's conditioned them to fucking gaslight their own fucking team. Yeah, I said all that. Fuck you, Rogers Sportsnet, and your dumbass Raptors Delight. I will never, ever watch it again. I appreciate Jonas Valanciunas. I love to see him show up and talk about the leadership of Colin DeMar and how great it is. I love seeing the bromance. I love seeing all the good stuff. But you fucking pointing out all the lumps and highlighting people like Paul Pierce and LeBron James on your stupid-ass documentary series, fuck you guys. Seriously. I might even want to look and see who's on the producer's credits for this fucking thing, and I'm going to say, yeah, fuck these people for the rest of their life. Fuck all y'all. Blake Murphy, you're a cool guy. I like you more this year because I've interacted with you. But yeah, I fucking hate your series. You can be proud of showing it up on it and talking about it, but that fucking Raptors Delight is such a piece of shit fucking production. And whoever wrote the narratives, whoever edited it, whoever decided that it's going to be, yeah. And then we're going to see, he'll come back to this guy again later, and you're going to find out. I don't want to hear any of that snarky-ass bullshit. Fuck that guy who did that shit. That fucking hockey cover, that's the fucking narrative on that fucking piece of shit Raptors Delight. This is an episode that y'all shouldn't have fucked up. It's real easy to do, but y'all managed to. And that's why I fully expect y'all to fuck up the championship one too. Seriously. How are you going to gaslight us and make us feel like we didn't deserve the championship, Rogers, when you come out with the next part, the fourth part of Raptors Delight? I'm just waiting for it. I'll watch it once, and then into the garbage it goes for the rest of my life. The rain place, young Raptors fans, new Raptors fans, if you want to learn about this team, go watch Open Gym. Open Gym, everything that's covered on that stupid-ass episode that came out yesterday on Sportsnet is covered way better on Open Gym by Bell on that series. And in fact, you'll hear it straight from the horse's mouth, the guys behind the scenes. You'll get all the dramatic stuff with high production value of music and drama, and that's why they hate the fucking thing that Masai built. Masai built a culture and a love for the Raptors, a pride in being for your team. That's why he said, fuck Brooklyn. That's why they talked about it in the thing. It's like Masai brought an idea from the top in the Raptors that you should be proud of being a Raptor, that you should be wanting to be a fan, and you should be like him. And nobody was like that around our team ever. And that's why we changed things, is because Masai set the tone, and DeMar and Kyle went and got that respect for us on the court. And, that's the thing they don't like. They don't like Open Gym. They don't like that Masai built diehards like us, diehards like Raptor freaks, positive Raptors fans No, they want trolling fans. They want half-ass fans, fans that may be fans like that for the Leafs and the Jays because their perils of going up and down in the standings and not getting anywhere. They don't want diehards like us. They don't want people that think that the team is the badass team. They want us to be half-ass fans that gaslight and troll the team just like that stupid-ass series. So you're not fucking up with Messiah. Messiah built a culture, and the culture stands. And Sportsnet doesn't get to dictate what it is. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because this is your subversive way to try and hurt basketball popularity with a dumbass fucking documentary series. It's supposed to be for Raptors fans, but on the down low, you're trying to hurt basketball in Canada. I can see right through this shit. Seriously, in some ways, the way you portray the Raptors and their history is a joke to you. And you think you're trying to make it seem like people that would follow them are idiots or clowns that would love the Raptors. See, that's the narrative I heard since 95, since I was a young Raptors fan from 95 for a long time, where people's like, you're a Raptors fan? That's the action and that's the energy that you built that documentary series with, you fucking pieces of shit. So yeah, Raptors Delight is dead to me. And the series isn't even over. I still got to sit through another dumbass episode. Oh, I wonder if they're even going to do Tampa or the pandemic or how the Raptors got screwed out of their championship team with Kawhi. Oh, they're going to take delight in that. I can already hear that stupid-ass narrator's dumbass cheeky voice. So it's like, oh, just wait, Raptors fans. Kawhi may have came in and did this, but wait until you see what he did in the summer. You know, it's some bullshit he's going to do, and he's going to take the light and the idea of Kawhi going to the Clippers. And he's going to go all over about the pandemic. The Raptors were actually the best team in the NBA, but then the pandemic happened, and they had to go to the bubble. And I don't even want to understand what you do to cover that Boston series and maybe some of the failings there. Yeah, you're real good at going over our failures, Raptors Delight. But you don't want to give us any of our successes. You don't want to give us toot our own horn on some of our successes. You just want to show all the lumps, the villains, the failures, the missteps, the problems, the people in the way, like Richard Petty. You want to show all that stuff? You go ahead, you fucking piece of shit, fucking dumbass documentary series called Raptors Delight. I'm going to find out who produced it, and you're going to be on a shit list from me. Yeah, and if it's somebody that's on the share, you know, why didn't you talk to some people like Sherman Hamilton? Why don't you just talk to some other people that can talk about it in a more positive way than a lot of the douchebags you put on there? People like fucking Michael Grange. Yeah, that guy's okay. Eric Smith is fine. Eric Smith is saying good stuff on there. But yeah, Richard Petty, Michael Grange, fuck those guys. That's what I'm saying right there. All right, I went on a 17-minute rant on that. Yeah, I may have to add more to it, but I got the gist of what I had to say about that. You go ahead and watch it yourselves. You judge for yourself what I'm saying right here. You think about how I said what I just said, if you haven't seen it yet, and you go watch it yourself and see what I'm saying lines up with what I saw. That's what I'm saying. Y'all are so petty. You hate that we have a growth. You hate that we have a love affair with Kyle Lowry so much that you're trying to fuck that up by writing all this bad shit about Kyle. Let's see. Y'all have managed in the first episode to degrade the first ever team president, a guy who went to Canada to try and help basketball take a step in this country, Isaiah Thomas, a Hall of Famer. You degraded him in the first episode of Raptors Delight. You degraded a Hall of Famer twice over. Coach that didn't have to come to Toronto, but came here and coached our team. And honestly, Alvin Williams was talking about him last night, said, I love my coach, Lenny. He's an amazing guy. Y'all managed to degrade Lenny Wilkins in the second episode, and he didn't deserve that. Why did Lenny Wilkins deserve your fucking bullshit in the second episode, trying to say he was lazy and all that? And he even appeared on the episode, and you got him to talk. We want to hear more from Lenny. Lenny's a history important person. Most people in the NBA know about Lenny Wilkins. Not all the Raptors fans do. And in some ways, the Canadian sports media doesn't. Lenny Wilkins is an important NBA person. But y'all poo-poo on him and shit all over him, just like you shat all over Dr. J with Richard Petty and his bullshit. It's like you don't have any honoring of the NBA history before it because you're hockey fucks that don't want to honor that side of the NBA product. Yeah, I don't care who Isaiah Thomas is. He's just a black man who wanted to own our team. And we said no because we're white racists. We never let him own this team. Yeah, that's what it is. It comes off as all that. I can see through the lines on this shit. Seriously, white supremacy, hockey's worries about basketball becoming more popular. It manifests in Raptors Delight. I'm serious. And now in the third episode, you've put down Isaiah Thomas, Lenny Wilkins, and now Kyle Lowry. You've gone after Kyle Lowry, which to me is a fucking, like, why would you do this? You're making an episode for Raptors fans, and now you're going to try and portray Kyle as some sort of asshole. and piece of shit just because Michael Grange got his feelings hurt a few years ago because Kyle put him in his place. Honestly, he put him in his place. And you can say, oh, he was an asshole. He treated us wrong and stuff like that. Oh, boo hoo hoo. You fuck faces. You treat the players wrong all the time with your negative ass gaslighting questions half the time. So I don't know. I ran it for 20 minutes. There you go. There you go. If you guys want me to elaborate on anything I just said, ask a question. I'll be willing to go more detail about anything I said, any of my points right now. Yeah. I'm so disappointed in this. There is a duality yesterday. I was so mad about the Raptors Delight episode before the game, and then the game happened. I was so happy. So there really is a light and a dark to yesterday, a yin and a yang. And the game, I want to focus on that because that's the real thing. That's the future. That's the Raptors. So Roger Sportsnet, stop trying to train Raptors fans to troll and on the download disrespect their team that they love. Seriously, that's why so many Raptors fans are so disrespectful to the team, because the media teaches them the action. The media teaches them the action. Anyway, let's get a water break after that. Seriously. Man, I got pretty red, didn't I? That's right. And I voted red too. Y'all, if you're in Ontario, go out and vote. Voting polls are open right now. Early voting still open, and you can vote over the next 3 or 4 days. So get in if you're in Ontario and make a provincial vote and vote against the PC, the right wing. Donald Trump's supporter is Doug Ford. And don't get it twisted. Doug Ford's acting like he's going to fight him, but he won't. He'll sell us out. So will Pierre. So you cannot afford to vote blue. Vote red, like my face, or orange, depending on which one has a better fight against PC in your writing. But yeah, make sure you vote, guys. And also go out and talk to other people in your life and encourage them to vote also. We want to get a higher voter turnout this time than last time. It was very pathetic. And honestly, Ontario, we could do so much better. We're an intelligent province. We have a lot of smart people here. So why are we not voting, Ontario? So get to the polls, please. Go down there and do it. Just do it. That's right. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Fiercely saying Suns defense is hella trash. Sorry for Coach Bud as it takes away from his rep. I also noticed they make lots of individual plays. They share the ball at times, but not often. Offense over defense. Well, they're not together, Fiercely, and that makes everything difficult. That's what's so important. Basketball is a team sport. And well, in the era of Durant and LeBron, we forgot that for a while because there was so much isolation and so much importance on superstars and all this bullshit. But this is the thing. It was always this way all along. And you know this from being around Fiercey Jr. and watching her play and have excellence this weekend. By the way, Fiercey Jr.'s team won, guys, their tournament yesterday in the finals. And she was nice enough to share a picture of them with their championship. It's so awesome, MJ, to see the excellence of Fiercey Jr. in her basketball tournament this weekend. But, that's the thing. You play like a team, you will beat individuals that are very talented if they're not playing like a team. That's been proven in the NBA over and over again. In some ways, that was proven with super teams like the big three of the Heat. They lost the Spurs and different people at different times because the other team was a better team overall. And that's always the most important thing with this. Now, if they're not listening to their coach and they don't want to do the coach's scheme, well, they're really in trouble. Really, really in trouble. Chris said Garrett is teaching him how to be a good vet. That's awesome. That makes sense. I mean, Chris is doing that really well. And his journey's so awesome. Like, he really has changed a lot in the last 2 years. He's really matured a lot more. It may be partly because of being a father. It could be partly because of he's just older and wiser. It just like things clicked in his head and he sees it. He has the ability to have a perspective outside of himself and his ego, to be able to see things more realistically about his place in the NBA and just how privileged and lucky he is. Because that's one thing about Chris Boucher that may not get said is he has gratitude for the life that he has gotten. I mean, I just said it earlier. That man lived on a bus, homeless, for a year in Montreal. And he's seen the really, really deep down where you can go very, very low in your life and have nothing. To be at this point in his life, I mean, he's laughing. And in some ways, that gratitude and happiness is something that he should have every day. If he's jaded and unhappy, something's really wrong because, dude, he's got a charmed life. He plays in the NBA. He has millions of dollars. And he was a homeless kid in Montreal who didn't have a place to sleep except for on a bus at one point in his life. So, yeah, perspective with Chris, He understands it. I love that Garrett's teaching him stuff, but in some ways, Chris is gonna have to be the leader that he's gonna be. I feel like there's a budding friendship between Chris and Brandon. He's been sitting at the end of the bench with Chris a lot during games. Brandon likes to sit at the end of the bench next to Chris. In some ways, they're kind of twinning with their body size and the way their body is. They're kind of the same like body frame, Chris and Brandon. Brandon's a little bit more filled out than Chris in some ways, but maybe not. I don't know. It's tough to say. They're standing next to each other. Their body frames may be very, very similar, height and weight wise. Yeah. Let's see. Mike saying us doing well for Ingram is key in image at the moment. Doesn't matter what we get out of it. He needs to be able to make more after the contract will provide true attention. Okay, I'm not totally sure what you're saying there, Mike. But yeah, we want Brandon to get healthy and get out on the court and start doing stuff with the Raptors. That's right. Carlos saying, I loved how the young Raps fought back and exploded when the game was within two. That is growth. There was a time late in the game where we had 3 rookies out there with Oshai Abaji and who was the other person? Scott. It was 3 rookies. It was Jacoby, Jamal, and Jonathan with Oshai and Scotty. And that was a really key part of the second half because it was around when the Suns had gone on a little run because we weren't playing as well all of a sudden, and they were getting out on the fast break and making easy baskets. And it was starting to turn into them shooting better too. Well, Darko did a really smart sub, and it was very smart because he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. He got them back in the game and winning, but also put 3 rookies out for development. That was a very good defensive team. If you noticed, Oshai, Scotty, Jonathan, Jacoby, and Jamal played a crazy good defense between the 5 of them, and they stopped the run of the Suns and started the Raptors to get back on more on top with a bigger lead in double digits again. That was a really cool lineup. I like that. And the daringness of Darko to play his rookies late in games, in crucial situations, the high stakes where they could fail and we could lose is so good for them. This kind of stuff is so good. And that defensive combination with Oshai and Scotty and those 3 rooks was a fantastic lineup at that time. Kudos to Darko for putting that together at that time. Seriously, it was really, really good. G saying Chris also said that this was the most peaceful trade deadline because they gave him no indication he was being traded. He alluded that they let the players know. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I heard was then the New Orleans trade to get Brandon Ingram, the money could have been Chris. Like there was a scenario where it could have been Chris instead of Kelly, but Kelly's more money. So it fit more. But if it had been Chris, we would have had to make up that little bit. Maybe Bobby would have said something like, you know, we don't really want to trade Chris. You'll have to give us more if you want Chris. You know, that's the thing. I think that the press, they just love stories and they love churning the pot and kind of causing controversy. And then when they start talking about OG this, Pascal this, in years past about leaving, that's just them trying to generate like energy and clicks and engagement and stuff like that with Raptors fans. And sometimes there's really no real fire to their smoke. It's just them making a bullshit to have something to write about. And, you know, there's a lot of manufactured shit around Chris and Jakob on our team. And that's why there's so many people in Nation always trying to figure out trade scenarios for them because they hear stupid shit from people like Grange and Lewinberg and they start running with it and they say, oh, this must mean Chris is going to get traded when it may not even be anywhere near the truth. I mean, when I hear Bobby Webster talk about Chris Boucher, it sounds like he likes him being on this team. And like I said, Chris talking about being on the Raptors sounds like he likes being on this team. So once again, I say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're getting such good value out of him. In some ways, that's part of it, is that when Jakob and Chris play so well and outsiders see that they're really keys to helping the Raptors win in winning ways, other people scheme and plot for how they can get them traded out and just make up bullshit because of that. That's part of the reason why the Pearl stuff happens so much is because they can very clearly see that Pearl is a big, huge part of whether we win or not. So people that hate the Raptors, of course, they're going to put more noise out there about Pearl should be traded. Pearl should be traded. And then soft-headed Raptors fans that don't know no better, they start parroting it. And there's a little bit more of a movement in our spaces for it. Our haters will be out there trying to suggest things that are bad for us. And the bad fans will follow them. And that's part of it. I think that's a big part of the confusion with Chris and his status on this team. In some ways, we should stop obsessing about this and just let Chris be on the team as long as he's going to be on the team. In some ways, I love that he's been on the team this long. let's do the Instagram stories real quick. And we'll start off with Morris Peterson, because last night, Chris passed Morris Peterson on the 10th all-time list for rebounds for the franchise. That's right. Chris has been playing for our team long enough that he's not only passed Mo Pete for most rebounds as a Raptor, of 10th on the list. He's in the top 10 all-time for rebounds now. He's also passed Vince Carter for most games played as a Raptor as of last night. Some people speculated that the Mavs traded Luka Doncic so he'd miss out on getting some all-time career franchise marks for the Mavericks franchise. Well, some people may say, well, maybe they want to trade Chris because he's going to start rising up on some of the leaderboards for the Raptors franchise in stat categories. And, well, I'm here for it. I'm fine with it. Him having more games played as a Raptor than Vince Carter, I love that. Him moving up over Mo Peterson as one of the top Raptors rebounders ever. Mo's not mad about it. He's saluting him. He's actually reposting. He's saluting him. So Morris Peterson, you're a good alumni. We love you, man. And keep going, Chris. Kelly Olynyk heading into the game for New Orleans. He's starting to play for them very well. There's a lot more highlights of him throwing lobs to Zion all over the place. And Kelly's fitting in. He's hitting threes. He's helping them win. Honestly, they won their game against who is that they're playing right there? They won their game. I do know that yesterday. So they're doing a little bit better with Kelly in the lineup. And hopefully Pelicans fans are being nice to Kelly Olynyk and they're happy that he's there. There's Slim Duck with his pose with the shotgun. Super mood, man. Yeah, Slim Duck was a big catalyst and a big part of the Raptors win over the Suns yesterday. Very, very cool. He's saying a happy birthday to his friend, Hula Max. I'm not even sure who that guy is. And then he's also celebrating the 4 Raptors with 20 points, Scotty, RJ, Emmanuel, and Chris. Very, very good. There's RJ, who's posted the same exact thing on his Instagram. Let's see. Jay Nathan's got Jordan Johnson on blast. Jordan Johnson, I guess, plays for San Francisco, his alma mater, back at college. And there's the guys getting ready to come out in the back. Jonathan's got a clip of that playing with him and them getting ready to come to the back. And there's some dancing in the back. O'Shea looks like he's dancing. Of course, they do their little prayer and then they run out. And that's cool. I love seeing that. And they're doing their little train thing with Garrett, too. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff by the Raptors. A big win yesterday. Pascal with all kinds of different clips and pictures, of course. He has so much. I don't even know how to cover all this. Siakam, go check out his stuff. Let's see. Norman's got him coming in the game, more understand the grind. Grady's got a picture of him taking a shot against the Suns yesterday. In some ways, Grady was once again, 2 games in a row, Grady's going up against guys that he's been compared to or wants to be like, and that's Tyler Hero and Devin Booker. So I know Grady takes a special delight in going up against Devin Booker. It's a very good challenge for him to try and guard him and also to try and steal some of his moves and maybe even learn something from him up close as he's playing against him. Yeah, Grady coming in the game wearing black glasses and a black toque, and it says on his thing, "I'm not psychopath." There you go. I don't know if that's a political statement. I don't know if that's Grady's declaring himself as an American, not down with the psychopathic government that's running things down there. I don't know. Are you doing the David Bowie, Trent Reznor, "I'm Afraid of Americans" thing here? I don't know, Grady. I'm not worried about you. I know you're not a psychopath. You're a good kid from Kansas. That's what I know. Yeah. Matt Devlin's pushing the fisherman's friend, of course. He's got a cough button, apparently, that he presses if he has to cough. Those guys were awesome. Once again, Vince, I'm glad you stuck around. I guess you spent a couple days in Toronto. If you were here for both games, are you be there for the Boston game on Tuesday too? It'll be very interesting to see. And I wish I'd seen Alvin's part of the 3-point shootout. I believe Alvin. And why didn't y'all keep that clip and played it alongside the Vince stuff? That's just wrong. You got to give Alvin his due also. I love them going over Alvin's old stat lines too, talking about how many assists he got. Matt Devlin going over the old box score of that triple overtime game. And they did allude to the Phoenix Sun game where where Vince scored 50 points for the first time in his career on on NBC. Now, Matt, you got it wrong, though, because I was at that game. It's an afternoon game. And you kept saying that night when you scored 50 against Phoenix. It was not at night, Matt Devlin. That game was an afternoon game. That was a noon game, and that was not a night game. I just want to clarify you because I know you want to get it right on your broadcast. But that was an afternoon game on NBC at 1 p.m. when Vince took it to them and scored 50 points against the Phoenix Suns in that game you're talking about. So I had to just clarify, as someone who was at the game It was a day game. It wasn't a night game. So you kept saying, that night when you did 50 against Phoenix. I thought, that's not factually correct, Matt Devlin. It was during the afternoon. It was an afternoon game. Yeah, Monica Wright Rogers all over Toronto Tempo's Instagram as she's been introduced this week, and everybody's paying attention to her. There's Eugene driving on the highway coming into Toronto. We see broke baby Stunna riding the car around in the GTA. See that? That's pretty cool. There's Eric Smith showing the highlights of Alvin versus VC. He actually has some of the Alvin shots on there. So there's a little bit of posterity for Alvin taking shots. I don't know. They should have filmed the whole thing and put it all up there. Extra stuff. We should have seen that. That's right. Let's see. Is there anything else on the Instagram that I want to cover? I don't think so. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. There's your Instagram check for today. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's keep going. Fiercely saying Chris Boucher said it at his presser. He doesn't mind benching as he sees what's lacking in a game and knows where and how to help when they put him in. I would say he'd be a great candidate for six man. Well, he is already our six man. In some ways, he's already kind of our default six man. I mean, there's no true. I think he is probably the most like a six man for us because he consistently has not started. And, you know, he's usually one of the first people off the bench. I mean, you could maybe make an argument that Jamal Shed is our six man. But I don't know. If you're really thinking about who would be considered our six man this year, it's probably Chris Boucher. It's probably Chris Boucher. Now, sometimes he's going to be benched. He's not going to get in the game. He can see what's happening, but he may not get in there to help. It's just how it is. Infamous saying, I agree, Lex. I don't understand this obsession to trade Chris. You trade him, then you will complain how we need to get a player like him. Yeah. No, there's so much built into him. Like in some ways, look, whenever you transactions a player, you know, you lose a certain part of culture and built-upness with the team. That's part of the devastating thing about the Dallas Mavericks with Luka. Is that there's some intangibles and everyday things that you build up with just knowing he's there and stuff like that you lose when they're gone. And when they go, they have to establish themselves somewhere else and start all over. So in some ways, the fact that Chris has played for our team for 7 years now is a big, long time of period. And in some ways, that's a history. That's a culture builder. That's a Udonis Haslem. And that kind of stuff is valuable. It's much more valuable to us keeping him here than whatever any team would get from him wherever he goes. So in some ways, he's way more valued here than he would be anywhere else because there's no telling how somebody else would use him or if they would respect him for who he is or whether he'd even be in the right situation if he did go somewhere else. So that's part of it right there is that, you know, you don't want to break up a buildup of time accrued with a team and all the things that has to do with that. You trade somebody and that's all broken up. And that's a long longevity that he's been on our team now. You know, I watched the old highlights from back in the day and I see young Chris on our team. And I'm like, holy crap, that seems like a lifetime ago. And he is still on our team. And that's awesome. I love that so much. Kareem saying, make sure you match the red with the red and the black with the black. Boucher is the team's booster cables. Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah, I love the way he runs in the game. I love that he's a leader like that. In some ways, that's a valuable older leader, an energizer leader. Because usually the energy is coming from rookies like Jacoby Walter and Grady Dick, people like that. But Chris Boucher, as one of the older players on the team, is one of the most energy-bringing players on our team also. That's fantastic. I love that. Fiercely saying, Matt D mentioned it at the broadcast, and I also read comments from Suns fans about KD. Hang on, it jumped. I don't know why it jumped like that. I want to read this comment. This is an interesting comment by Fiercely. Where did I go on this? Wow. Okay, Matt D mentioned it at the broadcast, and I also read comments from Suns fans about KD not getting enough touches. It was interesting to witness, but kudos to the Raps for holding him to 15 points. I think he's not being aggressive. You know, I've seen this trend with him where he kind of just lays back and he picks his spots, but he's a little bit too lackadaisical with being aggressive to call for the ball or get his touches. I don't think it's the system. I think he's shying away from it. He's not being aggressive to try and get the ball. He's just kind of out there, like I said, running cardio. In some ways, I want to give credit to our defensive covering of him to deny him the ball, but I don't think that's exactly what it was. I think it was more that the dude is not looking for it, and he doesn't care. And I'm telling you, in the down low, he could be that salty that he hates playing in Phoenix, and he hates playing for Coach Bud so much that he wants to tank this team out this season. He doesn't want to play in the postseason. I'll bet you. He does not, and he's not trying to help them get there. Watch, Suns fans, if you come and watch me, I'll bet you. That's what's happening. Mischief's here. The Raptors make a play-in. Who you rather play in the play-in, Orlando or Miami, Lex? That's interesting. We got to play Orlando a couple more times still. And when we played Orlando before, they were hurt, and we didn't really see the real Orlando without Franz being there. So we're going to see Orlando again by the end of the season, and that'll be a better time for me to judge. In some ways, I'm going to say I'd rather play Miami right now because in some ways Jimmy's gone, and the Miami's still trying to scramble with their new core with Andrew Wiggins around, stuff like that. Even though they beat us on Friday, I think we'd have a better chance beating the Miami Heat than the Orlando Magic in this situation, at least from what I see. Now, when we play Orlando later this year, depending on how I see where they're at, I might change that opinion. But currently, right now, Mischief, I would say I'd rather play the Heat. I'd rather play the Heat. Fiercely saying, I also love Darko's answer on Scotty being one of the best defenders in the league. Fire. And not getting the recognition, possibly due to our record. Darko knows what's up. That's totally why. Some ways people don't pay attention to us anyway. A lot of them are not going to pay attention to that. But Scotty's going to get the attention eventually. Watch. You know, OG wasn't very much promoting himself or putting himself out there. He's getting the attention now in New York as he deserves. But OG didn't get the attention he should have gotten for defensive stuff all along up here. Well, Scotty's going to get that attention up here because in some ways, as much as OG was such an amazing defender, probably one of the best defenders in the recent 10 years, Scotty's even better than him in some ways right now. Seriously, I'm going to say that. OG is one of the greatest defenders in the NBA's history, but Scotty's a level above OG right now. I'm serious. I'm serious. Because in some ways, Scotty's a better low post defender than OG. He's got all this stuff on the outside like OG, but in some ways, he's a better low post defender, partly because he's a better shot blocker. And in some ways, he's better at muscling guys. So, yeah, we love that Scott takes the hardest assignment every night. That's what Emmanuel was saying after the game, that Scotty needs to get more credit because he's taking the hardest assignment every night, and nobody's paying attention to that. That's part of it right there. Mike's saying those Philly games are going to be huge. Sixers in the sixth worst. Laugh out loud. The process is tanking on life support. The process was a waste. Yeah, if Joel leaves there and never is successful in Philadelphia, it's an absolute fail. The whole entire process that they did, because he is the signifier of it. And when he leaves, much like Paul George leaving the Clippers, it signifies that whatever experiment that they tried to do with that team was absolute fail because he's gone. Yep. 50 saying, yes, Lex, as I was driving yesterday, I could only listen to the first three quarters, and I agree with you. Vince is very good at commenting and providing suggestions. Is as if it was at the actual game. Is as if I was at the actual game. Yeah, Vince is really good at breaking down the game. He honestly really does know the game. He had such a long career, and he's played with so many different players in the history of the NBA. The only player in the history of the NBA to play in 4 different decades, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. And the dearth, the wide variety of knowledge and experience that Vince Carter has is just so valuable to broadcast. Now, I don't mind sharing him with the United States, and I know that he's going to have contracts doing games down there also. But I really do love seeing Vince Carter embrace his Raptors roots more and more, and not in a gaslighting way like Sportsnet Raptors Delight. He's very, very earnest and forthright about, talking about mentoring Scotty, talking about how the Raptors can be better and what he sees with the young core. It's very encouraging. It's very positive. It's not hater. It's authentic. And that's what I like about this. Vince is coming clean and clear and truthfully him, but he's not coming as the villain anymore. In some ways, the axe has been buried, and we can be a family again. And I love that. I love this. This is so healing. The fact that you're giving us your gift and your talent at this point in your career, Vince, which is not dunking at this point. It's announcing and being an analyst. And you're sharing it with a fan base that absolutely adores you and loves you from the past. And healing this rift is so, so good. As mad as I was at Raptors Delight earlier, ranting and raving, I can get emotional about the whole story of Vince Carter and his relationship with the Raptors and the Raptors fan and where we're at this point. This is so healing. You being here and calling these games with Matt and Alvin, and you showing that you do have a love and respect for the team that got you first, didn't draft you, but traded for you on draft day, and you were a rookie for, and you won a Rookie of the Year for. So, man, this is so healing, Vince, and keep going in this direction. I know maybe part of it is a financial decision because there is a cash cow to be made in endorsements in this side of the border in Canada. and you don't want to walk away from it. I don't want to be jaded and think it's just that. I think it is actually just a personal, emotional thing also, that you healing the rift with us and feeling those feelings you felt when we put your jersey up in the rafters that day. It really is a huge thing. It really, really is. And I thank you, Vince. Thank you for giving us your time and calling the game with Alvin and Matt recently. It's just been so glorious, honestly. And you are so good at it. Seriously. You were very, very good at doing what you do. You really are. You're one of the best. Seriously. Jimmy's saying crazy game. Crazy game. Yeah. I was very happy to see us win. Fiercey saying, Lex, would you say IQ's defense is getting better and better? Yeah. I think that if you're going to practice and try and get better every day, that's an aspect that's going to happen. It's not necessarily a strength. Offense is his strength, but this is the thing. Quickly is his name. He's quick and he can get around on the court really fast. And sometimes it's just positioning and getting in the right spot before the other guy is half of what defense is. So as Emmanuel gets more savvy to understanding the proclivities of his opponent and what they may do, whether they dribble right or left, or they like to do this with this hand or what this, he can guard them more specialized. He already does know a lot about a lot of players in this league, and more experience. You get more and more savvy to their tendencies and know how to guard each individual in the NBA a specific way. So yeah, that's part of the way his defense is going to get better. Just he's working every day to get better. Well, that's part of getting his game better is the defensive side. So yeah, I think he was pretty good last night. He did pretty good. Let's see. He stole the ball from KD, also provided good arms positioning to create stops. Eagle. I thought it was funny that Quickly gave no credit to Kevin Durant after the game for impacting his game. He asked him another stupid question from the press. How has Kevin Durant's influence been on you in your career? He said, he has had no influence on me. That's what he said. I love that. Manuel being straight up. He said something about he was in a Team USA select camp with Kevin a long time ago. And he's like, did you learn anything from being in that camp with him, Emmanuel? He's like, no, I didn't. I mean, I take encouragement from him as far as his work ethic and the kind of leader that he is from afar. But let's not get it twisted. He's not somebody that is a huge influence on me, is what he said, basically. So I thought that was pretty funny. Kareem saying, I've seen enough. After this draft, all I want to see is development and build cohesiveness. Yeah, we're going to win. I want to win through development. I don't want to be a rebuilding team that has to struggle at 300 for like 4 years to finally figure out how to win. These guys are advanced. They're smarter. Our rookies have been more years in college, and they're already advanced. And we've got some of the most talented core guys with Scotty, RJ, Emmanuel, and Brandon now. So, no, there's in some ways, we're not a normal young rebuilding team. We are advanced, and we need to go and start winning sooner at a sooner pace than other teams would in their situation if it was similar. Yeah, we need to do better because that's how we are. It's Messiah, baby. Win, baby. Win. That's what we talk about. The word win, win, win. Say it over and over again. Get your quota like Ujiri. That's what I'm saying. You got to say that word win every day, Raptors fans. That's right. Mike said Beal, Dame, Harden, Westbrook, Embiid. Yeah, not going to lie. I see Luka as part of that group, lazy and stat focused. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that reasoning for why the Mavericks moved on from him. But listen, don't get it twisted. There's most of a lot of the big players in the league are like Luka. It's not just Luka. Paul George, Joel Embiid, Harden. Yeah, he's got a list of them right here. Beal. Yeah, Beal's another one. Dame. Okay. The graveyard of super maxes. That's right. Very, very interesting. This group needs an eagle. That's right. Eagles. Eagle. Ulrich. Eagle. G saying, I thought Orlando tried hard and did a decent job. I think he has some good potential. He was frustrating and also surprising at the same time. It was like every other thing. He'd do something. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then he'd shoot a shot way too short and totally miss the rim on a little baby shot in the lane too. Yeah, he was a mixed bag. Him and Jonathan, very similar. Half the time frustrating me, half the time surprising me and being like, oh, good. I'm glad he did that. It's really similar. Mike saying, gee, facts. I think they like his mobility and spacing potential. I hope he's showing growth in the right way. He could fit nice with a biannual exception. Talking about Orlando Robinson. Well, we'll see. Like I said in the last couple of days, he's an easy roster spot to upgrade with more talent and better in that depth chart for center. But we need more just bigs and centers. So he's very welcome. And as long as we have him here, it's just if we lose him or he's not on our team all of a sudden, we need an adequate sized man that's going to come in and take the space. And hopefully it's somebody who's even more talented and even more better that adds us up even higher, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Mischief saying, whoever wants to watch 40 minutes of game highlights of yesterday's game, it's on YouTube. Decent quality to that was only barbecue, imagine triple BBQ and Pirtle. Yeah. We didn't have Brandon. We didn't have Pirtle, but also the Suns are the Suns this year, and they're one of the biggest, hugest disappointments. It's crazy that they have one of the highest payrolls in the whole entire league, and this is what they get. Wow. In some ways, Matasheba is learning the harsh reality of the NBA is you can't buy winning. You can't buy winning. No, you can't. You got to do all kinds of other intangibles that are more important to get the wins. And some of it is synergy and connection and fit with the players, the coach, and all that stuff. You can't just buy winning. No, you can't just spend a bunch of money and go throw a big, huge pile of money at Bradley Beal and think you're going to win. No, this is a harsh reality for Matasheba as a young owner in the league, not owning the team for very long. Let's see. Mike saying Mobo is fine. He's finding his way where and when he needs to do different things. He's sort of raw, but has shown at times to be elite. Well, I like that Darko's comment the other day about what Mobo should do for the rest of the year is just to work on being an energy shit disturber on defense. That's the most priority for Jonathan. It's not learning how to shoot threes better. It's not necessarily scoring more. He just wants him to really lean into the thing that's his strength, and that's being a very energetic person that can play defense at a high level. He wants him to get better on defense, even more so. And some of that is just knowing where to be in the experience. In some ways, like I said, he's a rookie. He's going to make rookie mistakes. He's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he's going to foul in places where he shouldn't foul. That's all normal part of the journey. But that's what he wants him to focus on, is being more of a shit disturber on defense, deflections, and getting steals and blocks and guarding people. Yeah. Yeah, Mike's saying we have like the Golden State Warriors bench mob with others. Walter, Grady, Mobo could run something similar. Yeah, I don't even know what Golden State's bench mob is. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Mike's saying, or Reggie's saying the Suns have to trade Booker and Durant, rebuild. This team sucks. Man, I would hold on to Booker. Booker is kind of like Boucher. He's been there forever. He's a long man there. I would have never gotten Beal. That was the biggest, huge mistake on that. They could have been fine with Booker and Durant, but getting Beal screwed them up. Absolutely. They got too greedy and they overstepped. And man, they're in a bad place because this dude's no trade. You know, if I was able to trade whoever from that team, I would have traded Beal, but they can't because he's got no trade clause. So they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed. They're absolutely screwed. You could maybe trade Durant and get something for him, but still, Booker and Beal don't fit. And honestly, Devin Booker is the best player on the Suns, guys. Devin Booker is the best player on the Suns. He's the most important player. And if they don't keep him and build around him, they're idiots. They're idiots. If they try and do anything like get rid of Booker and they keep Durant and Beal, I'll be like, what are they doing? They're idiots. They're idiots. Mike's saying 15th man playing wise. I don't know if he'll be the 15th man. I could see Chris being somewhere around 7, 8, or 9 every year, next year too. It's especially when we start winning more and getting up the standings. We're going to need him to have that expertise in his winning ways and his long experience of being in the league for a while, because that's part of it right there. It's just like Jakob. They don't play Jakob. They don't play Chris. We have less chance to win because those are winning players that help us win. We know this is true. Let's see. Mike's saying we have 11 players signed for next year plus 2 draft picks. So maybe a backup center, then Boucher can slot in at vet. Yeah. I mean, that's great. If he has to take a vet minimum to come back to the team, I hope he would. But who knows? Maybe he will see dollar signs in his eyes and he will move on. Either way, you know what? We can't control this, and we can't get upset about it either way. I hope he stays. I hope he's here for a long, long time. I hope he'll do something like Udonis Haslem and take vet minimums like he did, just to stay for the culture, just to stay for the comfort, just to stay in your home country, Chris. You could do this. I talked to you about this on your Twitch that day you made me the moderator. I said, Chris, I hope they keep you on the Raptors for the rest of your career, and you're our Udonis Haslem. He saw me. He saw that I wrote that. So maybe it is in his head that he could be that kind of role for our team. Garrett Temple is going to have to retire in the next couple of years. And, well, who's going to be the incumbent? And learning from Garrett, like somebody said in this chat already, that he's taken some of the leadership teachings from Garrett to maybe take over when Garrett leaves and be that role for our team like that. You know, he won't be exactly the same. That's for sure. In some ways, Garrett is so good with the refs and the other teams. And I don't know if Chris is going to have that. Although he does have good relationships with the refs. Chris does. He really does. Let's keep going. Smooth saying the makeup of the Suns roster around the big three is really bad. I keep saying them both because Durant will be 36. Booker will get the return from the Suns they need. Yeah, you keep saying Durant. Yeah, I think that they've done a horrible job building their team. And boy, did they pick a lot of unlikable people to be on that team. Mason Plumlee, Grayson Allen. Yeah, Mason and Grayson. Very unlikable people. Bobo's fun. It was fun to see Bobo out there for a little while. And Scotty did get to guard him a little bit. Which I'm always thinking about Scotty and his wonderment about Bobo. It's always fun. And yeah, Chris versus Bobo was a fun little matchup too. There was a little bit of that going on during the game too, which was fun. Fiercey saying, can we talk about D-Book and the Raptor making up? I love this. Thank you, Fiercey. I'm going to give you a dunk for this cue card right here. Yeah, before the game, the Raptor went up to Devin Booker in the shoot-around, and they talked, and they were palling around like they're old friends and just goofing around. And Devin was smiling, and the Raptor was just talking to him. And, hugged. And, yeah, they were like best friends. And like Matt Devlin said on the broadcast, they've made up. I mean, it's a funny, silly thing. It's a funny, silly thing. Mascots interacting with the players. There's a history of this, that Lopez brother and all the bullshit he does. And then, the Devin Booker versus the Raptor thing was such a legend. Such a legend. As always, that's kind of fun, man. But, Raptors Delight, they probably turn it into some sort of debacle and scandal or something like that. And they probably say something like the horrible Raptors mascot was interfering with the great Devin Booker's free throws, the way they fucking write their stupid ass documentary. They probably slant it like that with their dumb ass shit. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Smooth saying, what did you think about Raptors Delight Part 3? Oh, I think I answered that. I think I answered that right there, Smooth. If you didn't hear it, it's around the 1 hour mark where you can start with my rant on that. If people want to hear the Raptors Delight reaction, yeah, it's there. Mike's saying, I dropped my Ingram timeline reasoning, nothing about Stank Nation, Big Five with Pirtle. There you go. Yeah, Mike has a new little 5-minute clip out he put out last night on Brandon Ingram. I highly recommend Mike's channel, and the clips he's been doing lately are very nice, bite-sized, very informative, easy to understand clips about the Raptors salary cap and possibilities for the future and what we're doing since the Brandon Ingram trade. So y'all definitely, Project Truth, follow Mike and Logical Raptors Fanatic. He's just killing it lately, and I'm so glad to see he's back to making regular contact on the regular basis. Once again, this is very good. Fiercely saying, make that a big five. That's right. Jakob's important. Yeah, he can be overlooked. In some ways, he's trying to get the limelight or all the accolades, and he's just a worker guy who comes in, does his job, and that's it, and that's all. He's not looking for the acclaim. In some ways, he's just enjoying his life in the NBA as an Austrian guy. That's right. Big five. That's right. Mike saying, laugh out loud. Sports and fitness rants went off on Durant today, but said nothing of Scotty's defense. I had to drop a comment. There you go. That's good. Stargate saying, wait, who asked that Scotty role player question? What's that person's name? I think it was Lascaris. I'm not totally sure. It was either Lascaris or Zatzman. It was one of those two guys, Lou Zatzman or Adam Lascaris, that asked the stupid question where they're like, yeah, Scotty's doing defensive things like a role player would. Yeah, it just shows that they don't know basketball. They really, really don't. Mike's saying if it was folk as why his defenses seem better by the media. I don't know, but Darko shut that down. Is Samson Folk that said that? No, I don't think that was Samson that did that question. Samson's not that dumb. No, I don't. I feel like I don't hear Samson hardly at all anymore in there. Like he's there and he's around, but he doesn't get that many questions asked anymore from what I'm seeing. Stargate saying that logical. I love sports and fitness rants. He really goes in on LeBron, him and Dreamers Pro. There you go. Some, people see laziness. They can tell when people are working hard or not. People can tell the Raptors are working hard. Well, what's Kevin Durant doing? Cardio merchant. That's what he's doing. That's right. No doubt. Carlos saying we really have to keep our big four long term. Yeah, I like that it's locked in pretty much for the next 3 years. That's a good runway to see how things are going to develop with safety and security and no things hanging over heads. So, of course, when we get close to that last part, they're going to start talking about RJ's contract. They're going to start talking about things with Brandon also. And RJ and Brandon will be the first ones up, and then Emmanuel and Scotty after that. So know the schedule and know ahead of time, brace for the stupid shit, the shitstorm of media over speculating on having to retain our free agents. Well, thank God we have a couple years to just enjoy watching the team play and not have to be inundated with the gaslighting by the press of making us worry about keeping our guys together. They're going to do it at some point. Well, the extension was done for Brandon, so at least Bobby bought us some time right now so that we won't have to hear their stupid-ass gaslighting bullshit on this subject. Yeah, because it's all been done. Brandon is extended, so y'all can't push this in our face this summer. Thank God. Good job, Bobby Webster. That's what I'm going to say right there. Yeah. Mike saying the Raps could put out a 6'9", 6'10 plus lineup. Scotty, Grady, Ingram, Robertson, Pirtle, Robinson. His name's Robinson, not Robertson. No, I like the idea of this. You know, you could do a Scotty and RJ backcourt with Brandon, Pirtle, and Mobo, something like that. That's totally a lineup you could play. Seriously, RJ can play shooting guard, and Scotty can play point guard. So yeah, we could do an all like up 6'9" kind of team, that kind of way for sure. Grady at shooting guard instead of RJ. Yeah, that makes it even taller. That's right. Monstars. Okay, Monstars. They didn't win, though. We don't want them. Infamous is saying sports and fitness rant has the basketball intellect of a toddler. Infamous with a counter retort. That's funny. Let's see. I've never watched that channel, so I can't say either way. But I like the idea of a YouTube channel calling out people for being lazy on the basketball court. I do like that. Kareem saying Masai's only mistake in the summer was using the term rebuild. All these casuals took that term and thought of a 3 to 5 year process. These guys are squirming. Little did they know it was a year of a retool. Yeah, once again, just because Masai said something beyond at the beginning of the year, and you're taking it to heart, and you're taking it like it's the rules of a board game, and you're breaking the rules if you don't follow that. No, listen, the schedule that he decides for the rebuild is his own schedule. You don't decide the timing of it and the when and this and the what. You got to jump through a sliding door and get Brandon Ingram all of a sudden because he's available because New Orleans ain't going to keep him. Well, you got to jump through that door when that door opens. So I'm just saying, rebuild, schmebuild. You're right. In some ways, he shouldn't have never used that word at the beginning of the year, Kareem, because it did kind of set an expectation for Tank Nation to just expect us to be shitty. Well, we're so good, we're going to improve fast, and we ain't trying to rebuild forever. That's right. Yeah, I think as part of it is they're used to seeing a rebuilding team like Washington or Detroit struggle for like almost a decade, and they just figure we're going to do that. No, we ain't wasting our lives like that. Raptors are going to do it right, and we're going to not screw up over and over again where we're just stuck in a rebuild like the Washington Wizards. No, we're going to get out of the mud because that's how we are, because we got Masai. That's just how it is right there. That's right. Let's see. Mike saying, not going to lie, from Masai's interview, he talked about getting another superstarish player to build around like Tatum, Brown, but he also talked about how those teams switch pieces so many times looking for fit. I think that the funny thing is fit is not just on the court with how you play, but it's culture and how you go with the players. And Brandon's fit so far culture-wise is phenomenal. Now, we'll see what the fit is on the court when he's healthy and he's out there actually playing with the guys. But, you know, if you're really smart about basketball philosophy and understanding skill sets of players and how they may interlock on the court, you can see who Brandon is from his career already. And you kind of see how that piece fits in with what the pieces we already have. You can see how it could very well work really well. The biggest key in this whole thing, as I said before, is Brandon curtailing his whole idea of being everything in all ways and just kind of fitting in like the other guys do and just doing their part and things as a team effort. He cannot be individualistic in his mindset in any kind of way. He has to be a team person and team first, just like the other guys have bought into it. That is what will keep our team together and playing well. Nobody can be selfish. Everybody's got to play the rules that Darko's given them for the team scheme, playing the beautiful game of the passing game. So no writing your own script and doing that. And I don't think Brandon's like that. I think Brandon has enough wherewithal and knowledge and respect for the coach that he's going to follow his rules and he's going to actually flourish under it. It may be that Brandon Ingram's not averaging 25 plus points, but he may be averaging less points, and the stats may look like they're going down, but it will look like Brandon Ingram's playing the best basketball of his life still. Now, is that weird? Some people say, wait, if he's not scoring as much as he did in New Orleans, how is he playing better basketball than he did in New Orleans? because casuals. It's not all about scoring. Sometimes it has to do with increases in better defensive intensity and better defensive play. Sometimes it's getting increases like RJ on playmaking. All of a sudden, the guy's getting 7 assists and setting up Chris Boucher with amazing little pick and rolls. So I'm just saying, there's ways to improve your game that don't just necessarily have to do with making your points per game go up. So I would say this: Brandon's stats may go down overall, but there may be a way that you may be like, "Holy crap! Actually, he's playing the best basketball of his life." Also at the same time. So that's what we're gonna have to see. We have to see. That's the most important thing about the fit with him, right there, right there. Fiercely saying this should have been Friday Freakout, but Lex is right. Listen, it had to be said. Listen, I had to go off, man, because that it made me so mad. And you know, this is the thing: new fans, young fans, people that don't know the history of the Raptors are going to watch this piece of crap, and they're going to buy into this. And like I said, it feeds the energy of the trolls and the negative part of our fan nation, because it's the mindset, the snarkiness, the gaslighting of ourselves that is teaching, and this stupid ass thing with that dumbass narrative. And the way that they really like, I don't need to know about Paul Pierce like y'all told me about Paul Pierce in this stupid ass episode. Fuck that. Fuck Paul Pierce, his sorry ass. You're going to bring out the thing where he said, yeah, we just don't have it. You're going to bring out all these other bullshit things. Chris Bosh dissing us. Bullshit like the stuff how you treated Kyle Lowry. Yeah, fuck that show. Fuck that show. I watched it once. I watched those episodes once. I will never rewatch it again. And it's buried in the psyche of my mind forever as being a propaganda piece by Rodgers that's anti-basketball, anti-Raptors, and fuck you guys. You call it the Raptors Delight? That is not proper advertising for what that piece of shit is, that documentary series y'all are putting out right now. Yeah, 10:30, Warring. Whoa, a Monday Freakout from Lex, and I love it. Shots fired. There you go. You see how red I got. Mischief, look at that. I love that. Mischief, you could get a dunk for putting me in emoticon form for that. Yeah, I think that may have been the maddest I've ever gotten on this channel. Seriously. I don't think I've gotten that red before. I really did feel like I was losing oxygen. I'm not going to lie, the way I was yelling. It really was like that. Trevor's saying, I shared a video with Chris, his interview, surviving the trade deadline on Hello and Welcome. I posted it in the chat. Yeah, Chris didn't want to go anywhere. And there's another example of the press being disrespectful to the players. William Liu and Chris Boucher from the past. Yep. That's it right there. Blackhawk saying, I wouldn't say Darko is good with timeouts. I would say he's better with timeouts and challenges. He hasn't called challenges close to the end of the second quarter recently. That's a huge improvement. Yeah, I mean, he'll be just like the players. He's in development. He's a young coach, and he's learning. and in some ways, that's the underspoken thing about us getting better is our coach is going to get better too. Just as much as like Jacoby Walter's going to get better, Darko's learning and getting better too, and understanding how to utilize timeouts and challenges better. All right, this is fair, Neil. You're saying that he's not good at them necessarily. I think he's good with timeouts because he's ahead on those. He really is good at sensing when the tide is turning and the runs maybe switching to the other side, and he cuts them off. So I have to say he's way, way better than Nick at this. Nick would try and let the team find their way and play through it. And then the lead would get worse for the other team. And I hated that. It was like he's waiting. He's like, oh, no, but I have Kyle. He's on the court. He'll do it. He'll fix it, and I won't call timeout. No, Darko's preemptive, and he does a really good job with that. Now on the challenges, we can say, yeah, he's not been good with the challenges to a degree. But part of it is trusting his team too much. Sometimes the players have told him to challenge, Scotty in particular, and they shouldn't have, and they got burned for it. But I do say what you're saying here. He stopped calling a lot of challenges in the first half. I think that was something that Jack Armstrong was very critical of in the broadcast, saying you lose your challenge early, it's really a bad thing. And I think that Darko has been listening and understanding this, and he has been modifying his challenge calling behavior. I think the timeouts, though, are really good, though. I can't agree with you that you think that I think he's actually really good at the timing with the timeouts because he's usually right on when it's starting to turn, and he gets it right away. And it's effective because what happens is he kills their run, and we get a good, nice play set up out of the timeout, and we usually execute on it. And that is exactly why you got to call timeouts. Exactly why, right there. Stargate Stan, now you know how I feel, Lex. The reason I go in on these SWS alt-right hockey entities in this country, but I was called a conspiracy theorist the other day. It's okay, though. No, listen, in some ways, look, I didn't mean anything against you when I said that. I feel like in some ways Some people will say we're conspiracy theories for saying this. And in some ways, it is to a degree a conspiracy theory because it is a conspiracy. And we don't have concrete evidence of all this stuff. So in some ways, it's a theory. So I am with you. I'm a conspiracy theorist on this. I will self-identify as a conspiracy theorist, and I will not take that as a slur or a negative. It's just that in some ways we're looking to look between the lines and see what's there past the thing that they're portraying for us. And in some ways we fill in some of the blanks. We can't concretely say some things for sure, but we can feel it and we can see it from the outside. So if I insulted you by calling you a conspiracy theorist, well, put me in that group with you because I'm a conspiracy theorist on this. And I think that there is a conspiracy against basketball in Canada. And it's a theory right now, but at some point it could very well be the truth and very well documented at some point, but probably not because once again, the victors and the rich and the people write the history and they try and write it the way they want to. American history, Canadian history is not exactly true. Certain people wrote it the way they wanted to. And that's what Raptors Delight is too, to a degree. It's just like that. Yeah. And I'm totally with you on this. My rant is coming from your place of your heart on this subject. And I hope that you enjoyed my rant because it's definitely on point, and I don't disagree with you on any of this stuff. But I will say at a certain point, we don't want to be so nitpicky and stuff that we just blame everything on this phenomena. But in this situation, this is apropos, very, very apropos for the way they produce this series, Raptors Delight. This is very, very apropos right here. Yeah, if you're a conspiracy theorist, so am I. How about that? How about that? Trevor wants that classic card. Stargate saying the truth is the truth. There you go. Blackhawks saying, Lex, you need to host a channel for Toronto FC. They won multiple championships, but do not get the claim in the city. All right, you're only saying that because I said the Raptors are the most successful team in Toronto. Well, first of all, I'll say this. The FC playing on doesn't have as many teams. And, that's not one of the major sports to me. I know that soccer is more important to the rest of the world, but I grew up in North America. And in some ways, soccer, I played it myself when I was a kid. It just doesn't have the thing for me. I don't really like goal scoring games. I think hockey and soccer are boring. There's too much time of just going back and forth and skating around or running around on the field. So I couldn't give this the justice that it deserves. And so much energy I put into doing the Raptors Freak channel. I could never be TFC Freak. And I'm not interested in this in any kind of way. Once again, it may be wrong for me to say it, but there's certain levels of tiers of major professional sports. And MLS is not a major sport to me. I'm sorry. It may be technically the premier soccer league in this continent, but to me, there's only 4 major sports, and they're basketball, football, baseball, and hockey. And tennis, golf, CFL. None of that shit to me is the same thing. And in Toronto, to me, the things that are competing are the Leafs, the Raptors, and the Jays. And that's the 3 that I believe in there. Yeah, there you go. Stargate, I've never disbelieved you. I've never disagreed with you on this stance, on this subject. I've always been an ally and believed you. I completely agree. And I've been aware of this since like the 90s of this phenomena. And I believed it the whole time. So you're preaching to the choir. You don't have to tell me if I believe you or not. I believed you in 98 before I even met you, before I even did this channel. I believed in this all because I saw it from in the middle. Actually, it wasn't 98. I'll say 99, 2000. When I was working for MLSE in the Air Canada Center, I saw it from the inside. So I could tell. I was one of the few people that put more priority and preference into the Raptors in the arena when they opened the Air Canada Center. Everybody else was Leaf-centric and more Leaf-minded, whether it was Canadians, just worked at the Maple Leaf Gardens before and came, and they hated working for the Raptors games because it was basketball was new, and there was staff in the building that were very much Leaf people, because the Raptors were new and they were doing Raptor games all of a sudden. It's very foreign to them. I never had the connection to the Leafs before I came in there. I came in as a Raptors fan and was a Raptors fan first in a sea of all Leafs employees in that place and the way it was run at that time. So you don't have to preach to me. I'm the choir. I'm with you. I'm with you. Carlos saying this is going to suck because Sportsnet is going to be the only game in town once TSN folds. We got shit for brains running their basketball division. I already voted. It did my part to oust Dougie. There you go. I'm proud of you, Kaloy. Thank you for doing that. And I hope that you and others on this channel will encourage other people to get out there and vote also. The turnout was so bad in the last provincial election. We need to improve that, and we will show that if there's more people voting, this guy has a less of a majority than he thinks he does. I don't know if this is going to be true about what you're saying about Rogers and Bell. I think that what's going to happen is that the contract will continue to be split for the games, and that Bell will still get their opportunity to cover the Raptors the way that they do. I hope that Open Gym continues. It's just that, and the Rodgers is going to own the team for the most part and have majority ownership. I think that Bell will still have a part in the contracts with TV, and we'll still get to show the games. Now, if I'm wrong, and all the Raptors games are going to be on Sportsnet from now on, well, that sucks, because that may mean no more Jack Armstrong and Leo Routens and people that are on TSN broadcast and aren't on Sportsnet. So we'll have to see, Kaloy. Just because they bought the team, Rodgers owns the team primarily, doesn't mean that Bell's going away, just so you know. Let's see. Carlos saying Ontario is last in healthcare spending in all provinces. Fuck Dougie. Yeah, he thinks he's being a fiscal conservative, but no, he's actually sitting on our money that we put into taxes, and we deserve to have the services for the money we pay in taxes. That's the biggest farce about this, is that they want us to pay more money to private companies for our healthcare. That's the model. And that's why we need to reject Doug Ford, because he wants our healthcare system to be more like the US's healthcare system, with parasitic healthcare companies jumping in the middle of the healthcare between the patient and the healthcare provider and making a big chunk of inflation on the prices, because they're going to just try and make a whole bunch of money. No, we don't want this direction. We like public healthcare. Canadians pay taxes because they want to see services, and we don't want to see rich fat cats like Doug Ford sit on piles of money and say that they're being fiscally conservative when they're starving our services at hospitals and at schools. That's really, really bad. And people need to understand that. And it's part of the thing that they're doing down south too, and the fucked up bullshit too. So yeah, we shouldn't be last in healthcare. We have one of the most busiest, prosperous economic provinces in Canada. How the hell are we last in healthcare right now? Doug Ford's fault. And also, here's another one for a reason why you should vote against Doug Ford. Doug Ford allowed the take off rent control. And the reason why your landlord is able to raise your rent as high as it is specifically solely Doug's fault. So if you have a rent situation with your landlord where they keep increasing your rent by a huge amount every year, that's because Doug Ford allowed them to do that. He changed the rules, and he's making the landlords richer because they can increase their rent at a higher percentage than before Doug Ford was in charge. So that's not enough of a reason. Well, let's try and keep Canada also, and reject Doug Ford and all PC leadership and elections in the next couple of years and years to come. Seriously. Carlos saying these fucks in the MLS value money overall, and Masai is the guy responsible to doubling the Raptors' value, so I doubt they push him out. Yeah, it's a weird balance. Like, they want the Raptors to make money because they love money, but they also hate that the Raptors are becoming more popular. And it's in some ways eclipsing the hockey more and more as time goes on. Yeah, it sucks that, in some ways, capitalism ruins everything. When people are only profit driven and not thinking about humanity, they're not thinking about the quality of their product anymore. They're not worried about whether they give a good service. It's all about the buck and just squeezing as much profit out of everything. Everything gets ruined. And this is what's going to be the demise of humanity, possibly, is the whole drive of the capitalist system and the love of money and money, just deciding all the decisions of what you do. Well, I'm going to say this right now. The capitalist system is like a cancer. It'll eat itself until it eats itself dead. And that's what this is. And that's where we're going with this. It's not healthy. It's not sustaining. And in some ways, the idea of having to get a profit that's higher every single quarter, and that is just not, it's the mentality of the cancer cell. And in some ways, it's not going to help anything in the long run. It'll eat us all alive, and we'll all die at a certain point. Seriously. That's the thing. I keep saying in the last few years, every individual person needs to decide, is people or profit more important? And certain people obviously really think profit is more important than humanity and people. And they are making very sick, disgusting decisions that are putting people homeless out in the street, putting people off of their healthcare system, putting food off of the table for people to eat. And that's messed up, man. That's messed up. Where's the humanity when we are a God? Our God is money, and not the right kind of God. With Jesus Christ would say, you help everybody and you look out for everyone, and you make a bigger table, not a bigger wall. That's what you do. That's right. Right there. Yeah, there you go. Trevor's saying when we played Miami, the camera caught Ingram drinking a beer. Were you sure he was drinking a beer? I don't know if he's drinking a beer. I don't know. I've not seen the clip, so I can't analyze this. I think that's probably against team rules. And whoever's saying this, I don't know if this is true. I've not heard this. Trevor, why didn't you show this in the chat so I could review this before and not like blindside me with this? I'm gonna say that this is probably not true, and I have not seen it, so I can't say this is true. So I don't know. Either way, I'm not prepared for this statement that you made. This very controversial, and I'm just going to reject it. How about that? Mike's saying Masai also talked on Pirtle in his interview. He was saying he fits with any team because of his passing, screening, and defense is good for a developing team, but could be a piece for a championship team. Yeah. I mean, I hate this whole idea about fit and people thinking this. Yeah, fit matters between players and chemistry, whether they like playing with each other or their skills don't overlap, and you have a diversity of skills. If you have too many of the players that do the same thing, well, it's not a very good diverse team. It's not as good. I mean, a player is a player. You could be on any team. I hate this whole kind of designation. Oh, he's not a championship player. Oh, he's not a player on a developing team. No, these are just basketball players. Let them go play. It's so stupid in some ways. Mike's saying, laugh out loud. Masai is a scout by trade, and the Raps hit on every pick. The weird energy needs to stop. Toronto needs to be a development team based on free agent stuff. Yeah, we have a hard time signing people, and Masai knew that he's been so smart. He's been so smart. And I love, and one of the parts that I did kind of like on the Raptors Delight was the whole going over how James Dolan was scared of Masai, and he rescinded the Kyle Lowry trade. That was pretty funny. In some ways, y'all should have been snarky and hilarious and made jokes about that, about James Dolan, instead of all the jokes you made the Raptors the butt of. Seriously, why couldn't you celebrate our team and our victories in the snarky way going the other way and go after James Dolan for Bargnani and Carmelo Anthony and Kyle Lowry? It's so funny. It's so funny. Let's keep going. Let's see. Mike saying Larry Tannenbaum set the CBA up to be perfect for us and the way we do things. It's a better strat for other small markets to be able to compete. Well, this was part of the whole idea of what Adam Silver's vision for the league since the dynasty of the Warriors has been. He didn't like how it was so predictable that the Warriors were going to probably be in the championship, and it was the Warriors and Cavs every year. That was a really bad for the league product. It really hurt the league, honestly, that the three finals in a row were Warriors versus Cavs every single year. It was not good for the league. And in some ways, he understood at that point that he needed to start making very deep changes to how the NBA is so that it is more parity and there's more ability for not having such a consolidated super team like the Warriors were at that time. So he changed the rules, and that's part of this. And, well, Larry Tannenbaum being in the middle of it as the Board of Governors guy, he had a big say in shaping this, I'm sure, like Mike's saying. Yeah. And, hey, it's not going to hurt us. Smooth saying that Vladdy update. According to the New York Post, Vladdy wants to remain in Toronto but is open to all 30 MLB teams, per John Heyman. He gives his reasoning as to why and what he's looking for in a prospective team. I seen the facsimile of Vladdy wearing the Yankees jersey, and I seen that he liked it. I hate that so much. I hate the Yankees. I really do. And if Vlad Guerrero Jr. ends up playing for the Yankees in the near future, I will puke. Blech. That's what I say to that. Yeah, there you go. Stargate saying, Lex, your rant was completely warranted. I get it. This stuff triggers me as well. Yeah, I you can say I'm triggered or something like that. But no, that was a very well thought out rant that I had been going over in my head since yesterday. And, the energy and the emotions authentically real. And I know that Masai prizes authenticity. And, well, there's my authentic reaction to that piece of shit called Raptors Delight. Thank God there's Prehistoric to Historic, the movie in the theaters. And thank God there's Open Gym, because we need an alternate historical telling of the history of the Raptors than that piece of garbage that Sportsnet put out. Seriously. And why am I not waiting? I can't wait for the next episode. Yeah, I really don't ever want to see the next episode because I know you're going to tarnish our championship and you're going to insult us on what should be a glorious episode that's telling all the greatness of the Toronto Raptors in 2019. I'm sure you're gonna make it tarnished and you're gonna sell us short and you're gonna put us down and you're even gonna manage to be able to do that in that episode. I fully expect it with your snarky ass, dumbass narrator who I've never heard around basketball ever. I'll never watch any of his content. I don't give a shit who he is. I think his name's Tom or something. He's a fucking piece of crap. And he has no business narrating the Raptors Delight episodes. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. All right, let's keep going. Fiercely saying W stream fam. Yeah, I'm about 2.5 hours. We'll keep going a little bit. Mike saying Jacoby, Curry, Grady, Clay. Yeah, this is, you can't do this, man. What are you doing? Those guys were never bench mob. Those guys were all guys who kind of came along fast. Fiercely saying top 3 oldest teams and NBA teams are the Suns, the Clippers, and the Sixers. Yeah, and 2 of those teams are huge disappointments. 2 of those teams. The Clippers are okay. They're doing all right considering things. Cool Cats here. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Nice dub last night. There you go. Fiercely saying Plumlee was being scorched by the Suns fans yesterday. They want him out. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Let's see. 11:15. All right, there you go. You guys got my 15-minute rant right there. Let's see. Wayne Strainer is saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. With Jakob Poeltl and Brandon Ingram out, and we beat a top coach and 3 all-star players, the Raptors are on course to the Final Four next 2 seasons. I love that. I love what Wayne's saying there. I like it. Fiercely saying, last comment from me. Savannah mentioned yesterday IQ wanting to solidify team culture, and as a leader wants the team to approach every game with fearless mindset, wants competitive work ethic. Yeah, that's just all the normal stuff that guys are going to say. You know, they're on the right page. They get it. And they proved it last night by the uptick in clutch in a very crucial part of the game where the Suns could have easily tried to take over and steal a game. Well, who stepped up and started bombing threes? IQ, RJ, and Chris Boucher. And that's awesome. I love that so much. Wayne's saying, with our firepower and defensive intensity, if opponents don't play defense, their offensive players have to be on fire to beat the Raptors. Our strength is going to be our all-round basketball plays. Yeah. Yeah, in some ways, look, this is the crazy thing. The Raptors in their history had a lot of teams that are not very talented. And when we've done well in the past, like the Sam Mitchell era, when we've done where everything clicked, like they talked about it in that stupid episode yesterday, when Jose and Andrea and certain things happened, then Chris got hurt. Chris Bosh got in the face, and that ruined that season. I remember that season very well because the Raptors were rolling right before Chris got hit in the face, and it absolutely derailed their playoffs and stuff like that. Now, this is the thing. Those teams were not that talented, honestly. This is the thing. It's the great combination of the Raptors because we got the work ethic and the team camaraderie and chemistry and communication that Darko is building along with premium talent like Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett. That's a deadly combo because not only are we going to be a team that works hard and plays together, we're going to be a very talented team that does that. And we've had teams in the history of the Raptors that have been very good at playing together and communicating, talking, but not very talented. So that might be the big difference in the uptick and the big jump in the standings for the Raptors that's going to surprise everybody next year. Right there. Right there. Blackhawks saying, I say it because you champion Raptors greatly. Toronto FC could use a champion like that in this dense sports market. That'd be interesting to I would love somebody to do that for that channel. I think that the passion that we show for our team, the Raptors, any team would be lucky to have passionate fans like us. And I feel like Toronto FC probably has somebody out there that's like me, that if they did their channel like me, they could do it the justice. I just don't have the knowledge of that sport. And I've never really followed Toronto FC that much. I've gone to maybe 2 games in their history ever, in the whole entire time they've been here in Toronto. It's not that I don't root for them. If it's the MLS, I want to root for them as Toronto's team. It's just that I've never liked soccer, and it's just never drawn me into it. I can maybe name 2 guys that ever played for that team, Desario or whatever, and that's it. I don't even know anybody who's played for them. So I just don't have the knowledge or background to even start with it, and I don't have the interest, to be honest. I really don't. But hopefully there'd be somebody out there that could do this like that. Maybe, TFC Freak. I don't know who this name is, but welcome to the chat. Thank you for being. The documentary in the theater is good. I'm going to see it tonight. I haven't seen it. I don't know for sure. It's a double header. You're going to have 2 movies. One's on the Raptors and their championship and their history. And then the other one's about the growth of basketball in Canada called Inbound. And they're probably both very good. I would think they're pretty good. I think that the group that's behind that movie, Prehistoric to Historic, We the North, is probably really, really good. I mean, it's cinematic. It's in the theaters. In some ways, the way that they threw Raptors Delight together is kind of half-assed, honestly. I think it cheapens it by showing clips of like Rudy Gay on a podcast saying shit like he did about the Raptors. Like, did you really need to put that clip in? of Rudy Gay dissing the Raptors delight? Did you really need to do that? Or is this just part of you showing that there's a lot of disrespect for a franchise and that this is just normal? So that's what I'm saying. Raptors delight normalizes disrespect towards the Toronto Raptors by putting clips like Rudy Gay from recently in his bullshit. Yeah, you didn't need to do all that, Raptors delight. Fuck you guys. Once again, I want to get red in the face again, or I'll go off again. I bet you that movie's going to be really good, and I hope you'll come in and you'll show it. Hey, tell me what your name is, man. I want to know what your name is. Are you new to the chat, or are you somebody that I know already that's been in here? I don't know. You're mystery man. We've got Nameless, and we've got the mystery man. Who are these people? Who are these people? I don't know. Stargate saying, I said this before. I believe Darko already has main system for the team. He hasn't implemented yet. The system he is running right now is more of a development system. Well, he's got a phone book full of plays and all kinds of stuff from his history of being a coach since very young, that he has a lot of history of knowing a lot of different things about basketball. And it's true. As a team changes, as it develops and gets better and it gets to different stages of compete, that playbook does change. And he adds new wrinkles to it. He's always adding things. He wants to give new challenges to the guys, and he can see avenues and departments where they can improve and they could get more wins. So that's all part of the process. He's exactly right. In some ways, he's right. There's a little bit of a development skeleton system of just the basics that's out there. And there's real fine tuning and all kinds of crazy cool plays that they could do down the road. Watch, you'll see it. You'll see it. Yeah, next season, you'll see the real Darko system. It'll be crazy good. Yeah, I think adding the weapon of Ingram is going to be reverberating in that system and may have to make a little bit of adjustments to make room for him in it. That's right. I don't know why my name won't show up. I don't know either. What's going on here? Incognito. The Stargate saying Raptors Delight is a hate piece, point blank. It is. It's not for fans. It's for people that kind of think the Raptors are a joke and just to solidify that narrative. It's not for fans. It's not for our people in our channel. No, it's not. And that's funny because really we should be the ones that enjoy it and delight it the most. But you missed your target audience. You made this for toxic Raptors fan nation, obviously. You made it for the people that are gaslighting and hating us on the down low. Yeah. So I'm like, whatever. I won't give y'all my seal of approval. I'll give you a minus 10 out of 10 rating on it. Seriously, I won't even give you a 0. I'll give you the opposite because you're doing detrimental shit in some ways with this dumbass Raptors delay. Just like, how could you drop the ball on the Kyle and DeMar era and make such a horrible fucking negative piece of shit like you did, Rodgers? Seriously, how can you drop the ball? It's like easy. It's like an easy layup and fast break. There's no defender around, and you still miss the layup on the mission for what you were trying to do. And you may, all right, Blake Murphy's counterpoint may be like, Raptor Streak, though. This is point of view, though. And your point of view is not necessarily objective since you're such a Raptors fan. This is a fair account of the Raptors history is what we did on Sportsnet. Bullshit. You've been writing this negative narrative against us for the whole time. Your stupid ass hockey and baseball channel. And it's bullshit. You can't say that this is objective. Sure, maybe I'm a little overboard with pro, but no, this isn't objective. And y'all didn't have to make these low blows towards us in this way. I love the fuck Brooklyn part. I love the Masai Ujiri part. And Masai really did bring that energy of self-respect for our team that was lacking until he showed up. And that's the thing. That's where I stand. I'm with Masai. This is a culture. This is a team that deserves to be respected because we do things excellently and we're doing it the right way. And in some ways, the ineptitude of the Leafs and the Jays, that could be derided on and go after, but you shouldn't be doing that to the Raptors, one of the most successful teams in Toronto over the last 30 years. Seriously. Mike's saying, Stargate, he's creating an identity and culture at the moment. He's focusing on themes of how to play versus the X's and O's. We need to have a system where they can have a chance to show the pillars of the system. There you go. And this guy's saying, been sub for a while, but don't talk much. All right, mystery man. I guess we'll just call you No Name, like the grocery store. I don't know who you are, so I can't say No Name. I don't know who No Name is. It's all good, man. It's all with love. And I appreciate your sub and being here. And I'm glad you chimed in and talked to us. I hope you'll contribute in the chat more often. You know, we've got our regulars that are always in here chatting. I know there's some people that just lurk and watch. But everybody, if they catch me live and they can be here, introduce yourself and let's talk. All right, here we go. We got our car of the day. All right. This is one. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Car of the day, guys. Who is that? Who do you guys know who that is? This guy was playing for the Hornets at some point. Let's see if anybody can get this card of the day. This is going to be 150, maybe 200 if you guys struggle too much. Does anybody know who this Charlotte Hornet is? It's old school Hornets, the upper deck. Of course, we know the time frame from this set. It's the same set, so it's about the same thing. There you go. Smooth's on it. He is here. He knows. It's Kenny Gaddison. Kenny Gaddison was a backup center for the Charlotte Hornets, kind of backing up Alonzo Mourning around that time on the team, Charlotte Hornets. So it's Smooth Brown Man getting 150 points for Kenny Gaddison. Hey, you know what? I'm going to give you 200. Honestly, that's a little bit of a deep dive, difficult one right there. Kenny Gaddison. And it's the first actual guess. He shoots, he makes it. It's that easy. There you go. Classic card of the day, Smooth Brown Man. We'll give you 200 because honestly, that is an obscure kind of guy. It's not like he's a star. It's not like he was a starter or anything like that. Yeah, good job, Smooth. Good job. Yeah, he was Larry Johnson except darker. Well, he did play with Larry. He was on the team with Larry, that's for sure. But yeah, that's Kenny Gaddison. Gaddison, that's right. All right, let's see. Do I have to go over some stuff? Let's do, you know what? Let's do a Raptors Reddit reaction. First of all, Raptors Reddit is talking about Kevin Durant speaking on the Raptors in the city of Toronto. This is what Kevin Durant said to Ryan Wolstad of The Sun. Kevin Durant credited the Raptors' defensive efforts, said Scotty Barnes is getting really good at Toronto's system, but joked he usually gets guarded by a whole team. He also said, I love Canada. I love Toronto. Has always been nothing but love and respect here. They appreciate your game of basketball to his core. They appreciate my journey as a player. So I've always had fun coming here in Toronto. Crowd is always on its feet all game, so they love basketball here. I enjoy coming up here. I love that. Before the game, they showed the footage of Kevin talking to Vince before the game. And you could tell that Kevin really takes what Vince Carter says to him to heart. That's the crazy thing. In some ways, Kevin Durant is a much more important NBA player than Vince Carter. I'm going to say that. In some ways, he had a way more successful career than Vince Carter. But in some ways, Vince Carter is still that idol to Kevin Durant as a young kid who loved the Raptors and was a huge Vince Carter fan. So seeing Kevin before the game, chopping it up with Vince giving him words of encouragement. He's saying, in some ways, I was like, Vince, don't give Kevin any encouragement. Come on now. But then he balanced it later. He's like, yeah, but I've been talking to Scotty too. Don't worry. I talked to a lot of different players. But he said, the mentality of Kevin is everybody's sensitive. You could be a certain level of player like he is and still have confidence issues. So I wanted to instill confidence in him. And it's crazy because you can see in the picture of when Vince was talking to Kevin Durant, he kind of reverted to a little kid like giddy to talk to his idol. You could see it in his eyes. And he was so touched. Like Kevin's such a jaded guy. And some ways he's so grumpy. And he's always so salty with people on Twitter and stuff like that. To see Kevin Durant, kind of revert back to young him with his idol Vince Carter and kind of starry-eyed, seriously, in that situation was fun. It was very humanistic. And in some ways it made me remember, let's get back to the thing, is part of the reason why Kevin loves Toronto and he loves Canada is because he loves the Raptors on the down low. That was one of his favorite teams when he was a kid growing up. He loved the Raptors and specifically Vince. So Vince talking to him before the game, that's just a beautiful, awesome thing right there. So awesome. All right, let me do the recap real quick. I haven't been doing the team stats lately. Do y'all miss me doing the team stats? I mean, I could go over them real quick if you guys want to, but I'm already kind of over time. My stars of the game for the game last night, Chris Boucher, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, all getting 20 points. Fantastic. And then Grady Dick, my fifth star of the game. He got hurt a little bit in there, but he was very solid while he was out there. Yeah, and as I said, Darko Rajakovic very much reiterating after the game, the media and the public are not recognizing Scotty Barnes as one of the most elite defensive players in the league. I don't think he's getting enough credit. Maybe that has something to do with our record. But if you have eyes, you see that he is elite. That's right. Kevin Durant will agree with that. He very much very much will. That's right. All right, so we're going to play the Celtics tomorrow. I'll have the preview for tomorrow's game all set up for you guys so you know on the latest lineup news and the ref report. Once again, ref report undefeated. I predicted a fantastic ref crew yesterday, and that's what we got. We got absolutely a fantastic ref crew. It was really funny, the technicals. The technicals were funny. They were both funny. The first one, Kevin got the call. He actually got the call, and he was sitting on the floor, and he hit his hands down on the floor like a child would. He went like that, and that made Matt Callio give him a tech right like that. It's so funny. It's like Kevin got the call, he got the foul, and then he hit his hands on the floor and said something to the ref, and they gave him a tech in the middle of it. That was so funny. That was so funny. It was like it was a little spoiled brat sitting on the floor when he hit the floor like that. And then Budenholzer running on the court, and when he got his technical was hilarious too. He was so mad about no calls on fouls. He ran out on the court and live action play and got a technical because he just ran out on the court. Hilarious stuff. Hilarious seeing those Suns get those technicals. So funny. So funny. Yeah. Smith saying he coached the Suns. Kenny Gaddison was an assistant coach. Was he actually the head coach of the Suns? Was he? I don't know. You were going to say Kendall Gill? Yeah, he was in Charlotte. That would have fit a little bit. He's a little shorter there. Let's see. Stargate saying Vince said he told Scotty he can average a triple-double in this league. He doesn't have to be the highest scorer, but if he can be perennial triple-double getter, he will win games. That is fantastic advice. And seriously, if Vince Carter can be part of the mouthpiece trying to help Scotty get to new levels, that will be very helpful. You know, we can say things on this channel and say, Scotty, please step up, be more the man, go do it. But if Vince tells him, he's more likely to get him to do it. Trust me, he is. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Thanks for hearing my rant today. I feel very strongly about what I said today, if you can't tell. And you guys can watch it and judge for yourself. You know, I say every Raptor fan should watch it at least once. But if you get the same feeling I got from watching it and it pisses you off, never watch it again and denounce it just like I have and say that, you know, this Raptors delight is, I'm not going to take this as an account of our history and this snarky little bullshit and these cheap jabs at our history and really kind of showing all our negative stuff. It's not the right account of what we should be saying and celebrating for our team and the resilience as the only Canadian team in the NBA and all we've accomplished. And I fully expect Raptors Delight Part 4 to sewer our 2019 championship in all kinds of different ways that's disrespectful. So brace for it and know that I said it right now. And when it happens, I'll be like, yeah, I told y'all. These motherfuckers are disrespectful towards the Raptors. And in some ways, they may promote the product and make money off the Raptors, but it doesn't mean they like them, is what I'll say right there. Doesn't mean they like them. Yeah, Mike's saying, I want to see Scotty as a Lowry Siakam OG mixture. Okay, that's a weird mixture. And Trevor J saying that singer and Grammy winner Roberta Flack died at the age of 88. I hate to hear that. Sad to hear the passing of the great singer Roberta Flack. That's really sad. Well, God's glory, you'll be with him in heaven as soon as possible. Safe travels and condolences to the family of Roberta Flack and all for fans around the world. I hate to hear this sad stuff here. Rise in power, songbird, Roberta, take your rightful place among the ancestors. That's right, man. We lose so many great legends and talents in all kinds of fields in the recent years. It's just the nature of the things. But yeah, very sad to hear about Roberta Flack right here. Mike saying Lowry passing and leadership, Siakam rebounding and scoring, and OG defense. Okay, yeah. I mean, I get what you're kind of trying to say there. All right, thanks for watching me. Be back tomorrow, 9:30 always. Preview. Celtics, baby. Last game against the Celtics for the season. Can we even the series against the champs and have a 2-2 season series with them at the end of the year? It's a chance tomorrow. And I say, you know what? Scotty ain't trying to lose. Tank Nation may think, yeah, we're going to lose to the Celtics tomorrow, but maybe we won't. Jakob Poeltl could be back tomorrow, seriously, and that will have a huge difference. Let's go, Raptors, always. And shame on you, Raptors Delight. Shame on you for gaslighting Raptors fans and really pointing out all the warts about our history. And, you know, we don't need to see it from the side of Paul Pierce or LeBron James. So fuck you guys. That's how I'll end it right here. 2-finger salute for you guys. Grange and Petty especially. You guys are fucking idiots. I hate you guys so much.